Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Pink, aka Parla, joined by expert analyst Maroon
Toby.
Dark Purple.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also known as Toby. This is the GLL Nations Royale 32 versus 32 PUBG extravaganza. We saw our first best of 5 of the day semi-final, and it was Team Turkey that came out on top of Team... Sorry, I was swallowing some banana there, guys. I was eating a banana off stream. Team Turkey coming out on top of Team Finland. And now it's time for the second semi-final of the evening, where we will see Greece and Cyprus together forming a team squaring off against Team Ukraine. We've got the bracket up on screen right now. Toby, would you like to run us through it?
Yes, let's see. We've already finished off Turkey and Finland, as you said, and now Ukraine against Greece and Cyprus. As you said, Turkey won it, so they'll get to square off against one of these two teams. And if you look at the list, I mean, Greece, they beat out the United Kingdom. They were a team that people were saying that this could be one of the very top contenders, alongside teams like Finland and so on. But they're beating UK 2-0 with such a fashion. Even Scoom came in and said, you know what, you guys, you wrecked us. So
shout out Scoom, by the way. Hello, Scoom, if you're watching.
There's some there's some talented guys in the Greece community.
Indeed, and so let's give a little recap quickly to everybody at home about what happened in that first best of 5 of the day, the first semi-final.
Yeah.
We saw 3 maps. It was a whitewash in favour of Turkey. They just seemed to be playing sort of a rough meta that kind of counteracted what Team Finland were bringing to the table. It was just quite a one-sided affair until the third map, where it was a bit closer, but eventually they came out on top.
Yeah, they tended to get ahead on the third map as well, but then Finland kind of caught up to then get ahead, to then catch up, and then in the end they would go on and get themselves the victory there in the end. But I agreed. I mean, we talked to Andy as well on the looting side. He said they were trying to do these splits, get so much info, spread it out wide, but the communication just was not there to back it up. And that kind of became their falling point. And I mean, Turkey, they abused it. They got a knock and they sent them.
Yeah. Communication in any esports is critical. Let's take a look at the teams that we have ahead of us today, for this final best of 5 of the day in a bit more detail. Team Ukraine, Team Greece and Cyprus. Which players stand out to you?
I'm seeing Magebane right off the top of the bat. Of course, we got our captains in the mix. Can never exclude them. But Magebane, a guy who's been in the scene, Mopsy as well, been in the scene for a long time on the Greek side of things. And looking over on the Ukrainian, you got Orange Snow in the mix. Very, very talented competitive player. Perfectix in there as well. Sedovsky, you can keep going. I mean, they're as we said with the previous game, there are some highly skilled competitive gamers in both these teams. Indeed,
it was roughly 5,000 players that tried to qualify overall to get on their respective country's team, and each one ended up with 32. And I was curious before starting this weekend of work with regards to the level of player that ended up on each team, but apparently all of these guys are of a very high skill ceiling.
Yeah, they are. And we see it. I mean, once they get close to each other, even before they get close, when they're still at 300-400 meters, we'll see those knocks coming in with the sniper rifles, right? I mean, they're capable of pulling off those shots.
Let's now talk in a bit more detail about this matchup. I want to relate back to communication and something that we saw in the first semi-final that faltered slightly on the side of Team Finland.
Yeah.
I spoke to Greece, Cyprus General Captain George just before he started getting ready for what's about to take place. Yeah. And they have a very interesting setup. We spoke a bit about it, right? Should we tell the guys at home?
Let's do, because it is interesting. It is a very in-depth communication strategy, I guess you can say.
Yeah, so they have George, head of the team. Then he has the 4 leaders from each, sub-commanders from each 8-man squad of the 32. And they are in communication constantly on TeamSpeak or Discord. And then the rest of the players are always able to listen into them. But other than that, they basically follow a general guideline of play and keep quiet. And then they only communicate for specific actions. For instance, can you pick me up? There's someone over there, etc.
Like important info.
Yeah, and so that sounds like quite a serious structure.
That is war. I mean, you got to listen to the top guy. If he says do this, do it.
Yeah, and so far the results for Team Greece, Team Cyprus have been very strong, right?
Yeah.
The way they've had their victories.
I mean, they've made it here, and they, as you said, I mean, the way they've had their victories. I don't think Greece has lost the game yet. Like, I don't think they've
You mean
lost
a
a map. Yeah, exactly. Well, had they lost the game, they wouldn't have been here. But I don't think they have lost a single map yet. So, I mean, that's something to be scared of if you're Ukraine.
And they also have a bit of gamesmanship too when they're winning a map. If they get a final player on the other team, they have a commitment to panning.
That's probably the only time they can all start yelling, because then they go pan, 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 pan. And they're like, "Argh!" They start charging them with their pants. That is true, yeah.
Indeed. Now, moving on to Team Ukraine, they are a team I remember when during the other PUBG event that I did last year, I think it was Na'Vi that had a mainly Ukrainian roster, and looking at the other Ukrainian players in the tournament, they were very strong. It was GLL Season 1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right. Ukraine is a strong country for PUBG.
I mean, CAS in general is just extremely strong. Some of the best players, and not even just in Europe, but in the world, come out of there. So, I mean, no surprise, Ukraine, pretty big part of the CAS region, and they have some outstanding players coming out of there to represent it here in the tournament as well.
No doubt. So, everybody at home, this matchup should be absolute fire. Now, let's turn our attention to the map pit.
Yes.
So remember, this is a best of 5, and these guys have vetoed it backstage. And we've ended up with Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar, Vikendi, and Erangel to finish. So the same as our first best of 5 of the day, our first semi-final, except Sanhok and Miramar switched around.
Yeah. And can that play a difference? Maybe. And when we did go from Erangel over to some somewhat open map to Miramar, really open map, to then pin things down to small, right? Whereas to now we go to the small and then like make it large and open again. So could be a difference in like sort of how you go from one map and the strategy to try and just immediately jump over into something else. But I don't know. I think these guys are well prepared.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect chance to bring up another thing that George, the captain for the general for Team Greece Cyprus, mentioned to me, was that they don't care where the circle is or where the circle's going to end up. They don't care where the enemy team is dropping, so to speak. He did mention at one point he discussed with Skoon before the match if they could come out with some sort of configuration. But
a gentleman's agreement.
Exactly, a gentleman's agreement. But he seemed to make it very clear to me that they have very set specific ideas and strategies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's what I also talked last week about when we came into the qualifiers for the final games here, is it doesn't always matter which idea is the better one. Like, on paper, you can say, oh, we should have done this and that would have been perfect. Sure, but it's hard to execute. If you just all commit to the same one idea, it might not be number 1 on the list of ideas, but as long as you're all agreeing on doing the same thing, in the end, that will probably be the smarter thing to do.
Indeed. And I'm excited to see how this best of 5 compares to the first. I wonder if the generals and the players, I'm pretty certain they will have been watching that first best of 5. Sure. And this is the first 32 versus 32 PUBG tournament that we've seen. GLL leading the charge on this one. And so do you think that these guys are going to have picked anything up from what they've seen so far in the tournament and the times that they've played already?
I mean, throughout the tournament, they've sure picked up a lot of things, because you will take what works from other teams and say, can we implement it, or how do we counter it? Should we potentially run into them later? I mean, for sure they've been watching the previous game, because whoever wins this will be up against Turkey, right? So they want to know what Turkey does and what can you do to not, pull a Finland and go out 0-3, right? You don't want to do that. No, you don't want to do that.
Sorry,
Anthony. They beat Denmark, so they're better than us anyway. But you don't want to do that, of course. That's not exactly the hopeful scenario. So you have to figure out what do we do to best them, and maybe give them some of their own medicine. Could that be the strategy forward? That could, who knows? We'll see.
Okay, well, I can tell you all at home that the players are currently joining the server, and soon we will see them flying in like eagles in the sky to land on Erangel. What do you expect to see in terms of composition with where these guys pick to land?
Yeah, of course it's going to be dependent on the plane where it decides to position itself, but I want to see, last game I think we saw 1 player from Turkey and 2 players from Finland drop on the military island, like actually go down on the island itself.
And you took a slight, not offense, but you thought that maybe there should have been more concentrated, a higher concentration of players around that area.
I mean, now the game did end down there, so it just sort of proves my point even more. But I think there's a big value in going down there, because should it go away, you still have control over the bridge. You can just go over the other side. I mean, it's not a big deal anyway. But it's one of those places that if you aren't there and the circle goes, that could just be losing that map simply for that fact.
And that relates to a theme that we've been touching upon during the broadcast so far with regards to risk and reward and with regards to creativity and surprise. You know, how safe should these teams be playing it versus trying things that maybe we haven't seen before?
I think I don't know if it comes down to playing safe, but you got to keep it simple. We're still, I mean, it's still really early in just the whole 32v32, so we haven't really gotten. I mean, you talked about how the Greek team, they have all these smart ways of communicating, and I love to see it. But imagine 2-3 seasons down the line, how well it will have been developed at that point, right? So keep it simple now, because the more things you throw at it, the more complicated you make it. It could be where we saw with Finland. They tried to do too many things at the same time, and it kind of fell apart because of it.
And do you feel that because of the journey the Greek and Cypriot players have had so far in terms of dominance and, as you say, not dropping a map, their confidence presumably is quite high.
Well,
could that play in their favour or against them?
It can go both ways. Because if you're confident, you can always get a little too confident, and that can put you in some vulnerable situations, right? But, I mean, with them not having lost the map, of course, it's been steamrolling in this sense, like if you look at the pure statistic, but there's also been times in which it hasn't been the easiest to win, but they've pulled it off anyway. So sure, they know we're not immortal. You gotta always respect your opponents, but still, I mean, get the pan out when there's only one guy left.
That would be good. Immortality. Maybe it
would make it easier to play Battle Royales, that's for sure.
We can create a little modification where the teams have to battle it out for an immortality objective.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, guys. It's a terrible idea. But talking in general terms about objective play in PUBG, what have we seen so far from both of these teams and how they approach map control and specific sort of things they see as necessary to win?
As you talked about with the Greek and Cypriot team, they haven't played that much circle dependent. They haven't really said, oh, this is the good compound in this circle, we should all take that. They've been more working around how do we fit all these players in and how can we maneuver around maybe more the terrain than the set circle itself. So it's not really let's go for this building. It's more this hillside over here is good, or if we get up here, it's going to be hard to go down, so we need to secure this path that's clear as well. It's a little more, I guess you can say, wider thought out than just like, this building is good, let's go.
Can it be compared to the way the Turkish team have played at all?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Maybe not as one unit did. Like, they can still split out and try and do some flanks and stuff, especially when they have like the chain of command kind of thing they do. It's easier to get communication across because they're essentially only 5 people talking total. But I mean, I'm hoping to see them get a little creative with the whole squad use rather than just a one team moving around.
Indeed. I think that's going to be a very telling factor in this matchup, especially based on what we know about the communication, at least on the Greek and Cypriot side. The Ukrainian team, how's their journey been so far?
It's been an interesting one. They've been battling. Some might argue that they have had I mean, when you have these group stages, there will always be one team bumps into all the tricky teams and one team has to go through. One team bumps into not easy, well, I guess you can say easier opponents on paper. I mean, it's always different when you have this because there's some might, like a lot of people might argue that you have the Finnish squad, when you look at the player list, is better than the Turkish, but clearly the Turkish team came out on top because of the way they played. And well, I mean, Ukraine, despite having been up against some maybe easier opponents, have still made it all the way here. So they've clearly pulled it through too.
There's also, of course, the matter of national pride.
Of course, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
And the general sort of leading the charge. Have you had a chance to speak to any of the players involved so far and what they think of the competition as a whole?
I mean, they love it. They love it. There's always the banter. I mean, I got to cast Denmark versus Sweden, where Denmark won. Amazing, by the way. Go back and watch the VOD a lot of times if you want to. If you're Danish, if you're Swedish, do it as well. No, but I mean, it's just. I mean, Andy talked about we came here to have fun. And it is extremely fun. I mean, when you talk to the players, they want to go out and wave the banner. I mean, Andy said from the Finnish guys, we never get 32 Finnish PUBG players together. So for the whole national community aspect, like local communities around to gather up that many PUBG players and really see we have a big community here. For some of the countries that aren't that big in PUBG community, that's huge. It could help grow the entire scene marginally.
Yeah, well, we're seeing Greece and Cyprus band together, right? Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the fact that that's 2 different countries sort of having to get along with each other, form a cohesive unit. I wonder how they gel together as a team. And just in general, 32 players of any nationality, even if they're all the same, how cohesive can that unit be? As a whole.
Yeah, it's still early on, so it's going to be tricky. I mean, of course, it's how much can you maneuver around and do things else like macro, what do you say, macro controlling as you want to?
Macro is like as a whole, yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna be the whole management aspect of it is tricky, and that's where it all comes down to that manager or the general. I mean, sure, he has some sub sergeants or commanders, whatever you want to call them, that gets to throw a call in there every now and again.
We are gonna create these phrases, so
Well,
you call it what you
That's
want.
the good thing about being the part of the first season of anything. You get to come up with all the terms, right?
Sub-sergeant. I don't know. That sounds too.
It sounds like a guy from Mortal Kombat. Sub sergeant.
But sub automatically denotes like.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like a lower.
Okay, so we have to do like military terms. Then what's under the
I know nothing
commander? That would be like the lieutenant, right? I mean, he's down there somewhere.
Lieutenant, colonel.
Yeah. They're all down. One of them. Pick one, guys.
Gunner,
Whichever.
sergeant, gunner.
Let us know in the chat which term we should be using for the guys that aren't the one in charge, but the ones that are a little more in charge than the other ones.
So presumably the majority of the 32.
Yeah.
So the 7 on each squad. Sorry, no, it'd be 7, 7, 7, 6 because one of them's going to have a general and a commander rank or something. I'm not.
No, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. It's correct.
It's correct. It's
correct.
Those are just going to be soldiers, right?
That's the privates.
Grunts.
Private Ryan. Yeah.
Privates.
All the privates. Yeah.
Yeah, all the privates.
All the grunts.
And then
the pawns.
The 4 sort of officers.
Yeah.
Officers.
That's a good one.
I don't know.
Officer. Yep, that makes sense. Well, why didn't we come up with
And
that
then we have
earlier?
the general.
General, officers, and pawns.
Officers or lieutenants and the general.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay, cool, man.
Easy.
We're moving things forward. We're still waiting for everybody to get into the server. As you can see, we've got a countdown now on the map on George's screen, which I think means we are about 35 seconds away from going live and jumping into Erangel, our first map of a potential 5.
What I'm hoping to see here from the Ukrainian team, because I haven't had a pleasure to see them a whole lot through this, is for them to wherever, because we've seen the whole East one team, West one team, but mess it up for the other team. If you imagine this, you make a gentleman's agreement. Hey, we'll go east, you go west, and just don't.
Yeah.
Just sort of pull them off. That could be the funniest thing. Just go like, you guys can do this, we'll do that, and then if you know they're gonna spread out widely across one side, just send your entire bunch to one corner and like kill the first 10 right off the bat.
I feel like gentlemen's agreements in sports and esports, especially, is such a tricky subject.
You only make the rules to break them, right?
Because in terms of gamesmanship, I mean,
they're here to win.
How strict do you have to be?
You can't be.
Yeah.
Depends on how loyal you are to the. I mean, do you want to be known as the snake in the nation's Royale that you can never trust, the guy that breaks all the bonds, or do you want to be known as the humble guy that you can just manipulate however you want to?
You sound like a Sith overlord right now. But the thing is, in my head, I feel like if there aren't gentlemen's agreements, we're going to see more creativity, sort of unexpected madness, which is kind of what we ended up seeing on Sanhok in our first semi-final of
chaos.
the day. That was crazy. It basically all kicked off in the first minute and a half. There were already exchanges. And I like that. That was action.
Yeah, as soon as they landed, they started shooting pretty much, and they never stopped until the game was over. And I mean, and again, the same thing kind of happened to those of you who only been watching along today. Same thing kind of happened on the military game on Erangel first time around, because as soon as it goes down there this early, the landmass becomes vastly smaller, right? Whereas to normally, if it goes anywhere pretty much on the mainland, we could have first 6, 8, 7 minutes. Is that how you count? I don't even know anymore.
6, 7, 8, baby. A, B, C, D.
Oh, that's how you do it. Oh, I knew you should have gone to school.
University degree, guys.
Whoa, look at that guy over there. No, but that's it can take a little longer. But honestly, guys, at no point can you go to the restroom during these games. Because once the engagement starts, it's going to be over in the matter of 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, if you are a returning viewer to GLL Nations Royale, but you know PUBG, competitive PUBG, you have to know that in 32 versus 32, everything kicks off a lot sooner. So far, all of our games have been a maximum of 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah, somewhere.
There's action within the first sort of like 8 minimum, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what we've
at
had
least
today.
At least today, sorry. Let me clarify that. It's my first day here. So what I'm trying to tell you is don't go anywhere. The game is going to start very shortly. Unfortunately, one of our generals didn't make it into the lobby in time.
Oh.
And so we are going to take a short banana break and be back after that.
be your girl. Are you really that deluded? I wouldn't touch you for the world. 'Cause I know, I wake up in the morning thinking this is my new love. And I know, we break up in a week because of your snowman syndrome. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah.
All right, everybody, let's try this again. If I'm not mistaken, we are... Sorry, guys, I've got protein bar in my mouth.
Eating right before we go live. 101.
If I'm not mistaken, we should be very close to getting this game live. Unfortunately, one of our generals didn't make it into the lobby.
Of all the players
you
can sort of live without getting in there, that's probably the one you don't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
Like the entire command is just like falls apart.
Your leader to emotionally and physically, depending on like Andy and Mithrain, both of them physically were charging into battle. They were
there for sure.
Laying down some fire. Yeah, you need that. You definitely need your general in the server. We'll get that fixed very shortly. We've got George on screen. Is it Chinjay?
Chinjay.
All right, and of course the general captain of Team Ukraine is Dobra.
But I think both works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, so we will hopefully get some word soon about how far away we are from getting this match started. Dobra there looking rather happy, relaxed, chilled, which is good. You need to stay focused, but also calm.
I'm just thinking, they're sitting across from each other on a, like, what should we say, 3 meter long table? Probably 3 meters from one end to another. This is where you got to get those mind games going. Like, sit and look over the monitor like, I'm coming for you.
We said that before, right, about Antsy and Mithrain. If Mithrain had been here, which unfortunately he
one-sided contest,
Yeah, he couldn't make it because he was a cardboard cutout. Some visa issues got in his way. If they'd both been here, we wonder if there could have been the chance of some banter. Maybe we'll see some cross-the-table banter between Dobra and Chinjay.
That's what we've also not seen. What if the captain from one team kills the other captain? There's got to be some pride in that, right? Like if the leader kills the other leader. You have to look for that in game.
Kingslayer.
Yeah, exactly. That would be amazing. But the game has started. And
in the famous words of Shang Tsung, it has begun. If anybody got that reference, you are official. Toby, continue.
Yes, I will continue. Playing Lipovka over Croy.
Have you seen the Mortal Kombat film, the original one?
Yeah, nope. And I don't think I'm sad that I haven't, because I saw the Street Fighter movie, and I regret every
Let's
minute
talk about
it.
PUBG, all right? Let's talk about PUBG. So this time, as opposed to our Finland-Turkey matchup on the first map, Erangel, we saw a 50-50 split of east and west.
Yeah.
This time it looks more north and south towards the eastern side.
You say that, but if we can bring the map up again real quickly, they've actually completely split up the team.
Oh, wow,
Look at how they've pinned down Milta. They are completely swarmed around. They have Prison, they have Milta Power, and they have Pachinki. If they want to, and you talked about Greece, how they don't really care where the circle goes. If they know that they have a bunch of them pinned in here, right now, because they have the control, just swarm them. You can come in from all sides. You can completely pin them down to one bridge.
That's why you are a PUBG analyst.
Yes. That
was fire. I really appreciate the insight. That's really, really cool. It seemed a lot simpler to me seeing how they land, but then you kind of pointed out the strategic locations that they'd picked and strongholds, so to speak. Perfect. Already trying to lay down some fire there, but not really doing anything.
Yeah.
At least letting his presence be known.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those it's not really PUBG terminology. It's just like animal terminology. We like to say puffer fishing. Like, you know how you're not...
Puffer fishing.
You know, like, you're not really that big and scary, but you make yourself...
puffer fishing.
Puffer fish. That's what it's called. Okay.
Did you say pupper?
That's the same thing, you know? It's just when it's older, it's a puffer fish. It's when it's a little older.
Imagine you can go to the lake and just fish a dog out, a little puppy. Man.
That's the new one. You haven't heard about those yet?
Sounds like a dream come true.
Yep, exactly. But no, nonetheless, you gotta scare them off and make it seem like there are more than one guy there. Because should they realize there's only one, I mean, we saw the Turkish team. Once they know they have the upper hand, they'll just come charging, right? So you don't wanna make it seem like you're all vulnerable and by yourself.
Indeed. Well, we're already 3 minutes into this first map.
And nobody has
second
died.
semi-final, and it's a much, much quieter start than at least the second two maps that we saw in the first semi-final.
One thing that's fun with this one is, though, that majority of players, you said it as well, are on the eastern side. And look at the circle. I mean, nobody's really seemed to care that much yet. And also, I mean, for Ukraine, how do you rotate on this? Because everyone at some point has to get inside the circle, right?
What's going on here in the very north and east?
Oh, it's the flank.
Sections?
It's the two guys that we saw from the Finnish team as well. They're the flankers.
Yeah, and we've got Guts kind of
Finn and
doing
Billo.
recon. He's doing
Yeah, he's
recon.
doing recon. They're on the scouting mission. They're trying to figure out where the opponents are. And of course, as we say before, also the less info they get, the more it can be. Because if you look around at such a big area
Deduction,
and you
right?
don't see
Yeah.
anyone exactly, and there are 32 opponents and you don't see anyone, that's a pretty good calling. Like it's a pretty big area that you can say, well, then they have to be here somewhere. Because they saw them jump out of the plane, right? They saw all the parachutes in the air. So they've got to have some sort of an idea, at least the area that they're in.
We are on board with George Chinj, captain of Team Greece and Cyprus. And as we can see, he's being very vocal right
Yes,
now.
yeah,
In
exactly.
fact, I'm surprised with how much he's talking. Like, I wonder what he's actually speaking about right now, because this early, could he be directing looting strategy, or
Well, that's the good thing
just
about
keeping focus and communication also just as a mental thing, perhaps?
I think the thing is, early on, you want to get as much control as you can. They already have players down towards the circle, but they don't have full control of it just yet. So you want to get down there. You want to get take a good circle position, because I don't think there are actually any Ukrainian players in the circle yet. And
So-
if these guys know this, take control.
Do you think then that Greece are, in these very early stages, in a better position?
Oh, obviously. I mean, when you look at this.
Yeah.
They can full on keep out the bottom part teams, like the Multas area, which is essentially half of the Ukrainian players. They can keep them out because they have two chances. Either you go straight west, where you run into Guess Who and Mr. Karagas, or you go over the bridge south, where you have players spot them as well. So no matter where you go, the opponents will see they're coming in. And, well, I mean, in that way, it should be pretty, not necessarily easy to kill them, because there's actual skill to kill an opponent is one thing, but they'll have the info at least to where they're coming from.
I really enjoy learning the nicknames of our wonderful PUBG players at this event. Yumber, Byronara.
It sounds like a pasta dish.
Is
right?
that a clan
Carbonara?
tag or Final Fantasy fan?
It could be both. Maybe they
A
made
Final Fantasy fan clan.
Yeah, there you know.
Cool,
what?
man.
That could be both.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah, guys, this is playing out... Oh.
Red zone.
Oh, red zone. I see. Yes, I do see it. I
There's
was
a
slightly
big red-
confused there.
Like, did
I
stop
look
throwing
in-
nades at each other?
Yeah, I look at the mini-map, and yes, we're redded out right now, so
Yeah.
we're in a danger zone. That's why there were explosions. We take now a look into one of our other drone cameras as the Ukrainian players make a pilgrimage across the sort of...
They are
bay
going
area
west.
here.
Yes, so they are going west. They are
Going
seemingly
west.
moving over. Now the question becomes, does the Greek and Cypriot players spot that they're coming here? Because you can see they're leaving. Far off in the distance, you see Finns.
is-
And they don't seem to spot them, but the thing for them is also you can get easily pinned down. Because if you look at the map, exactly where Finn is right now, this is a huge open field. So if you get players on the high ground positions around, you can kind of just lure them into the valley, and that's when you can really start doing some damage.
This is, from my perspective, quite a unique approach that Ukraine are taking here. Because they've got two... I can't see the exact numbers, but it looks like they've split their team in half.
Pretty much half, yeah.
In terms of north and south. And then the line that's cut through the middle, the majority of the Greek and Cypriot players are already to the west, but then they've got some funneling through. And so do you think the Ukrainian team are eventually planning to come together, or do you think they're going to try and collapse from both different sides and angles?
I mean, I think essentially they wanted to take the east side and were expecting the Greece team to take the western one. But then as they split in the middle, they were like, well, this didn't work. And now it's up to us. We see Dobra on the screen right now. Up to her to really figure out, how do we do this? I mean, how do we maneuver around this without taking casualties? Because I talked about before how they could get pinned down in the valley. And well, I mean, the valley is right where they're going right now.
She's riding with the clique right now, riding with the squad.
4 guys in one vehicle, too. If that
Yeah.
blows up, there's 4 guys dead instantly. And that's your captain in there, too. And they're driving straight up towards the opponents.
What we can do right now, Toby, actually, for the first time, is have a cheeky listen with
Я проеду пока вот так.
our teams.
Справа,
And I
справа.
expect you to translate. Go.
Принимаем файт. Отжимаем гол.
I heard something with main fight.
I'm pretty certain this is the Ukraine. Is it? No, I think we're on board with Greece and Cyprus, guys. Oh, and we're suddenly in close quarters. Equal trays right now, but
And this is an important area to take control of, too. So I like the fact that they take the fight here. But look at the hold-off from the Greek team. As I say
and
that.
this is that's the car, right? That they were all punched in the Ukrainian team.
I'm looking around for the captain. Maybe because he's
Dobra is
Dobra is
just
playing
a bit
from
further
behind.
back,
Playing
yeah.
from behind doesn't want to be the front line, and they know the importance of keeping alive. But Chin is up
HP.
there with the 1 HP and only 1 first aid. He has to back off and play this one safer. The help is coming in, though. The help is coming in. The second sort of wave is coming in from the red squad there. They're making their way on up, but will they be up there in time? We've only lost 2 players so far. And, well, I mean, at least for now, the Ukrainians are vastly outnumbered.
Indeed.
Oh, there's one more great name we have to pronounce up in the corner. Fortunately, he just got...
Piersos Pullman.
No, it was like CSTXL.
Oh, jeez.
Sixlixel. Skeeto knocked a teammate. That's not what we want to have happen. Orange,
big battle now.
Yeah, it's
taking place in the forest.
And they have to fight for this because they don't want to get pinned down in the field. This is the only place they can really go to. Holy sh! Did Chin just get 4 with a nade?
Oh,
what?
and 2 from Chinge.
Did he just get 4 with 1 nade?
That is an insane play.
That is a captain play, if anything, and he just got knocked off the bat off of that too. And Negrano might want to come down and get the rest
big nade
up.
coming in again.
Dobra with a double as well, saying you
Indeed.
ain't the only captain who can do this. I can throw my own nades. But they need to back off of this one. Look at how pinned they are.
Yeah, I'm trying to see exactly on the mini-map where she is, but it's... Oh, and Dobra, the captain, has gone down. Suddenly, the Greek team...
They came in with that second wave. They came in with wave number 2.
Wave
and you can see
number 2.
Kutch is just slending the vehicle into the smoke here.
Look at how many smokes are suddenly deployed.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge loss, obviously, for the Ukrainian team. But they're only down by 6 players.
This is really, really good utility usage.
And now the second wave comes in, right? Because this is the thing we talked about. The Ukrainian team was split into 2. And now the second wave is going to come in real soon. And the 2 of the players are already here, Estia and Real KPE. They're showing up now. They're a little lonesome, but I mean, we've seen crazier things before.
But Pepe Le Pew hides in the brush. No, he goes round the brush. He's underneath the water tower.
If he gets a double,
and he's getting support from Birstos Infisel.
Ooh. If he gets
However,
a double,
Birstos is in the car, maybe baiting there for his teammate that he gets an idea of where the Ukrainians are sat.
At least they know they're down there.
Look
and
at
you can see they're turning around.
Yeah, look
they're
at this
immediately
rotation.
turning around.
They surely can smell that they have at least one. 2. They now know there's 2 people there. Firing off. They must be able to sniff out these kills.
Yeah, and they don't have a vehicle. It seems to me, the 2 Ukrainian players, and they are all by themselves. Finn did knock himself with a vehicle, so helping out the opponents a little bit. But I'm not sure it's gonna be enough here because they're getting rolled up on by something like 15 players.
Yeah, and it's really good positioning from the early Greek Cypriot players like Pepe, who rather than overcommitting, stood on an angle where they could see if those Ukrainian players were rotating out. Oh!
Nate comes in and it forces out Real. He has to go out in the open and runs back in, but there's so many opponents coming in, and that's not going to happen.
And that's a good trade. You know, he gets knocked down, he's not out, and he spots one of the players out, and SDA is in a tough spot. An impossible situation.
He got knocked down and he did not get up again. Unfortunately for him, not a whole lot more he could do there. Down he goes. And now, exactly. Now we got well, I mean, I think we got a bit of a stalemate?
Stalemate.
Now it's going to be all down to repositioning once more. And, well, I mean, the Ukrainian players still doable. 7 versus 24. This is where things should get a little quiet for a while. Because now they're very much all together. The northern unit is united, and the Greek Cypriot one is as well. And it's all now about those later circles, like who will get that better spot, who will rotate smarter into the opponents.
Indeed, this is a very close-fought battle. Our first semi-final of the day seemed a lot more one-sided. The third map was a bit closer, a bit more hectic. But this first map of our second semi-final seems to me as though the strategies and the way they're playing out is a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know, 17 to 23, there's breaks between all the fighting, and then things start to collapse. I'm really, really liking what I'm seeing.
Did Nifo just get run over and nobody cared? It's like, continue going. Unfortunate, but we ain't got time to rescue, buddy. No, it seems like they are indeed coming up to get the rest, and smokes are coming in as well.
And the Greek team sort of centralizing themselves around the quarry area.
It makes sense. You get some high ground there. You have the terrain to work on. You can see they go up on the hillside. And to a certain extent, I mean, losing your captain from a I guess you could say physical perspective. I mean, she got off, but sure, now she can sit and like skip in, like jump around between all the players, maybe get a bigger picture of what's going on as opposed to what she could before. Because now she pretty much has the eyes of all her like minions.
Indeed. gives her perhaps a better overview of everything
exactly.
going on.
Exactly.
Nice split screen here showing the two
Position.
units and how they're positioned. Slightly less on the Ukrainian side, a bit more spread out. The Greek side mainly moving as a big squad, but then we have two guys
The scouts.
in a car. I should say, sorry, Greek Cypriot side.
Should we call them the Expendables?
The Expendables
It's
or
Finn and
yours death, Earth's death.
Ours death, maybe? Is that what it should have been? Our death?
Well, if that's tech speak, it's yours.
Yeah, true. Yours death.
And fine, I'm fine. We'll see.
I'm fine.
You're on a dangerous recon mission right now. But this is smart. This is clearly for the purpose of risking a little gunfight with two of your men in exchange for finding out more information on where the enemy team are positioned.
And also, I mean, they might just have had two people start shooting up the hill right there. But the guy, you saw him immediately turns around, runs back down. He doesn't know if it's 2 or if it's 15. I mean, you technically don't know, right? So he has to run back down. And this gave a little bit of breathing room for the Greek team that, despite being ahead, actually had to make this run rather far out in the open and still managed to make it to the compound. But they're very much only in that compound right now.
Look at those traces flying across the map. So, looking at the Greek Cypriot side, they're sort of bunkering down, finding positions in... does that area have a specific name, these group of
Some call it Snake Compound because
compound.
it's like an S-shaped, the compound itself.
And now the recon squad has sort of beefed up to about 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And everyone's coming together a bit more as a group. Whereas the Ukrainian team is still quite spread out. Vit, you're in True Sweep, potentially looking over the horizon to make sure there are no wide flankers coming in through the Greek Cypriot side.
And you can see how much pressure the Greek Cypriot team is putting. Ooh, these team knocks. Not what you want to have happen, especially not around this area of the map. But actually, it happened back in the city, so I guess it's not the biggest deal. But you can see how much they're pushing, how much control they're taking.
Oh,
the
that
circle actually benefits
yeah.
them too.
Massively favours the Greek Cypriot side. That circle change.
Ooh, the flankers.
Yeah, the flankers there have managed to gain good position here and engage whilst the bulk of their team is still pushing up. Oh, but that's a great nade by Alpha Dan.
Yep, Alpha, straight on the money with that one. He plays competitive on a daily basis to get himself a knock and a finish off as well. Now he does go down in return. And this was actually a good effort from the Greece Cyprus team to getting up the hill and taking down that. They had a little bunch of people sitting up there trying to get the high ground control and take out some people, but immediately spots they're few in numbers. Let's just full on push up on them, and they actually managed to catch them off guard.
Making very good use of the smokes as well. Portable walls, I call them.
Portable walls. Yeah, I mean,
walls.
Oh, walls. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can still shoot
portable
through them
walls.
though. So is it really a wall?
It discourages the enemy team from sort of engaging from in that angle.
True. 15 bandages, not a whole lot more than that. Jinjay, you gotta watch out, buddy. Gotta watch out. Kind of just jump around and punch the air like that.
Plantago in a good position here. A snake in the grass.
Sneaky. Look at that. He's all
A lot of
wide.
information. And he doesn't want to move too much because he doesn't want his model to be seen spinning around on the floor.
He's all white and he's found a little white spot to
Oh my
be on
God.
as well. And they don't see him.
no.
That's one down, but there's so many more people to come. One more comes in. Guess who goes down as well? But he does go down in the end, unfortunately. Traded off, but did manage to get himself 2 knocks off of it.
2 knocks is definitely not bad.
It's what they need because they're down by twice the numbers right now.
Indeed, the gap is growing now. Ukraine with 11 players remaining. Greece and Cyprus with 20.
Yeah, this is where it gets tricky because sure, if you're 30 against 20, you still have firepower. But once you go down to those 10 people alive up against 20, there are just so many more bullets coming in the opposite direction. It just makes it extremely hard, if not near impossible, to get those comebacks in.
Ubi Vander there deleted off the server, and now we are at that 2-1 advantage for Greece and Cyprus.
This is going to be interesting, though, because now they landed kind of between one another, right? How is that going to affect the games coming up? Because we were very much... What can you say? We were very much sort of agreeing east-west first time around, and then it became a little more clustered, and then completely clustered third game. But now it's clustered from the start. Does that mean that they break up more once they go to Sandhawk, or does it just make it even more tricky? It's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, and I think Sandhawk coming second is going to be different in terms of momentum compared to what we saw earlier today.
Yeah, but Potentially right about
Yule's Death putting down some suppressing fire.
Mini 14 in hand.
I wonder if he's aware of the Cliff Boys slightly above the target in his sights. Checking the little watchtower there.
I think for them, knowing that they have the higher player count right now is so crucial in the aspect of them just finding out, okay, we don't need to push anyone right now. We just want to know where everyone is. Like, once you can lock down like 3-4 different areas where you've seen multiple players and you know there are only 9 alive, that's when you're saying, you know what? We can now just start going, we'll start with this one, then that one. And I mean, the circle's only getting smaller too, right? So the area of potential places your opponents can be in gets vastly smaller. Good headshots coming in there from Good.
Yeah, Greece and Cyprus have sort of substantiated the position that they were working on, and they're using these vantage points a bit higher up than Ukraine to get these knocks. And here we get a complete finish on Cat Bless.
I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot that unless if the next circle really, really extremely hard shifts down south, and even then, I do not see the Ukrainian team winning this one.
This is an aggressive push.
Yeah, Billum is up there.
This is smart because whilst the Ukrainian side are distracted by the long fire, if he picks a good angle in between sort of differing levels of terrain, he can sneak in potentially without being seen, and he's got some good ground there.
He can split the
and
lines
drops
of defense.
Vitva.
He can split the line of defense extremely well if he manages to make the push up here. Sheva has to run back. And well, I mean, the further down these guys are disengaging, the closer they're getting to the edge of the circle, and that's only going to get them pinned in the corner.
A slow bleed, perhaps, now for Ukraine.
Yeah. A wound that they're trying to not get ripped off too fast. But as you can see, we talked about it as well earlier, Chin, he's up there. He's on the front line all the time, and he's still alive. He's been fighting off a lot. He has 3 kills already.
Brothers, sisters, rally behind me.
Yeah. Not afraid to take a fight at all.
He's laid the final blow. 17-4. It's become quite the deficit. A strong finish for Greece and Cyprus.
Does he have a pan, though? That's the big question. He does have a pan, so the call has to come in soon, right? Because there's only 4 guys left, 2 of them
Look at this flank, he's completely behind them, they have no idea. Well, I mean, they can't really check every angle at this point.
Where's the pan? Now we see it, the pan in hand, it's there.
Pan in hand.
The pan is in hand, everyone is panning. And they shot him. Guys, I thought we had a deal here. And they are standing with their pans, all of them.
That was a very, very different style of matchup to our first semi-final. The Greeks laid a trap almost in terms of their positioning.
Yeah.
And maybe due slightly to a fortunate circle, navigated around it and really put the pressure on Team Ukraine.
Well, I mean, they knew that they had them split up, the Ukrainian team, because they saw in which directions they were going. And they, as we said, I mean, you saw how much he was talking early. Clearly maneuvering his troops down. He knew there were only 1 of 2 places they could go. They just stacked up on the one of them. They came down, took the fight with, I think they lost, 7 players, while the other team took out half. So, I mean, well done by them.
Trading, right? It's a classic in shooting or FPS competitive situations. And it seems in 32 versus 32, if you're able to do that in PUBG, it's just as important.
It is. I mean, every time you get, just like the little deficit, every time you get the upper numbers, and we talked about in the beginning, sure, if you're 30 or 32 alive, might not be the biggest difference, but once you go further down the list, I mean, if you're 10 against 20, the firepower just isn't there to hold off those guys.
Indeed. What would you say the standout moment was for you in that matchup?
The fact that they not only managed, because Ukrainian team, they were actually looking to go more center in that field there, but because there was a team north shooting them, they had to go down south, and they were just sitting down there waiting for them, right? Just perfect setup, the way that they took that fight. And I mean, what was it, quad? I mean, 5 knocks with 1 nade from Shinji, and that was what allowed them to push forward. So not only was he there to help, he was also there to, make the coding blow, kind of.
Indeed. Now let's throw things over to Chin Jae, who is ready for us with an interview. Congratulations on that first map victory. How are you feeling?
Thank you very much. We're feeling really fine, really good.
So, do you remember our conversation before the matchup with regards to communication?
Yeah, we do. I do.
Okay, so did it play out how you thought in-game? Was that communication still working?
Yeah, for sure. We communicate really well with the boys. We got a really good chemistry, and that's the key to a 32 vs 32 game on PUBG, I guess.
It seemed even at the very start when there was no action and it was looting that you were still speaking a lot. We had the camera on you a few times. What were you talking about in those very early stages?
We were just trying to predict the moves of our enemies, and we're just talking about our decisions, like what are we going to do to the next circle, no matter where it closes.
So you knew you had the circle. You knew you had the circle down on the western side. Was it on purpose that you focused so many people down towards the forest area instead of maybe going up to the hills? Like, did you know they were going down there?
Yeah, we actually like to play aggressive. So when we had the info that we got some guys over there, the guys were like are really hyped and they just can't wait to take the fights. They feel really confident when they take fights, and they were like, let's just push, guys. We got an advantage. Let's do it. We had some really good nades, and
yeah, you had a really good nade. I think you got 4 knocks with that nade, right?
Yeah, it was a couple of knocks.
Insane.
Not sure.
Were there any moments in that matchup, Chinjay, where something that Ukraine did took you by surprise, or you had to readjust in the moment?
Yeah, we're actually used to split the map 50-50, like one country drops to the left side or to the right side, so that we can have a better quality of game. But tonight we did not. It was just like a reaction drop. We just took the decision and the risk to drop in the beginning of the plane. And we did fine. We were pretty split, but we did fine. We're used to playing under these circumstances. We've had games like this before.
And what are your thoughts on the next map, Jungle Sanhok?
It's a good map. We all love Sanhok. We all play mostly Sanhok when we play leaderboard. So it's a map we all know, and we will have a good time, I believe.
Final question, Toby.
Well, you look to do things differently. On like, what is different for you on the playstyle with 32 versus 32 on Sanhok compared to Erengel? Is there anything we can look out for you to maybe do different than you did this game?
Well, yeah, I don't really believe that we're gonna get into the Sanhok vehicles, to be honest.
Okay, so no vehicles.
Yeah, probably. You never know.
You never know.
I do not promise.
I like that. Chinjay, congratulations on the first map victory. Please go ahead and get ready for that second map. All right, so he's telling us that they're not planning to use any vehicular warfare on this second map.
He was a little evasive. I liked it. He didn't want to give up any strats. Maybe there are some spies sitting and watching the stream and like giving the info across to the Ukrainian. It's like, who uses vehicles on Sanhok, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of those. Well, I'll just give him something so he's satisfied, because we weren't satisfied. We need more of the dirty details.
He's very much a well-spoken,
he knows what
stoic,
he's saying.
sort of wise general, and that definitely showed
for sure.
on that first map.
Yeah.
All right, Toby, thank you so much for your input. Everybody at home, do not go anywhere. We will be back in 5 minutes for map 2 of our second semi-final here at the GLL Nations Royale.
Хорошо. Смотри на своих даем.
Nice. Πάμε το push. Μπράβο, ρε.
Πολλά νοκ με τις νέες.
Μπράβο.
Με τις νέες. Ελάτε ένα ρες οπωσδήποτε.
Γιατί σταματήσαμε εδώ?
Τι κάνεις, rotate από
πρόσεχε που πας, mate. Τι κάνει ρε μαλάκα?
Τι κάνεις ρε μπρο?
Εσύ τι κάνεις?
А как вижен поиметь какой-то хотя бы или никак?
Что-то посмотреть уже, что это за... Это no-brain просто, я не знаю.
Ебать там двое. Звезда, блядь.
Έξι, guys.
Guys,
Το κάρτο, πάμε.
Μπράβο. Έκανας. Και κάτω κι άλλοι.
Ένας τι κάνει.
Τι κάνει.
Μα μπρο!
Τι κάνει. Ναι. Πάρε μαλάκα.
Πάμε λίγο.
beg for mercy. Fall to my knees to be your girl. Are you really that deluded? I wouldn't touch you for the world. 'Cause I know, I wake up in the morning thinking this is my new love. And I know, we break up in a week because of your snowman syndrome. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. Don't need your conversation, babe, I'm afraid you're out of luck. That's too much information. Don't care about models, that's yeah. Whatever. I know, you wake up in the morning thinking this feels dumb as hell. I know, no one could ever love you like the way you love yourself. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. Ain't no way I give it up, move to you like I'm in love. You want it, but can't get it. Baby, I don't give a, do I look like I'm in love? You want it, nah, you can't get it. Oh, I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Parla, and I am your desk host. I'm joined by the fantastic analyst known as Toby. That first map was really good.
And I love to see that what we heard from Shinjay was exactly what we saw.
Yes.
We saw them split them up. We saw them direct them down to the bottom part of the map. And I was like, okay, so we kind of talked about how well they split them up, but was it really intentional? I mean, those things. And then we heard from him. He's like, yep, we wanted to do this, we wanted to do that. It's like, okay, they didn't need like the big vision, like hindsight that we had. He just at all times knew what was going on.
But in that sense, it's kind of like he's exercising his vision on the map. He's saying, these are our ideas and we're going to impress them onto the other team.
For sure.
We're going to try and make our game work and happen. He's very calm and collected. We can see him on screen now getting set up. Just to remind all of you at home, this is our second semi-final. Best of 5 format, 32 versus 32. PUBG action. Team Finland earlier today fell to Team Turkey, who are waiting in the grand final for either one of these two teams. Greece and Cyprus together as one, or Team Ukraine.
It's going to be an interesting final for sure, no matter how things go down. We talked about this match as being a little more strategic, at least seeming a little more strategic, a little more coordinated than some of the things we saw in the previous match, where teams, I mean, communication just clearly on point on both sides here, because even though the Ukrainian team was split apart, they had a moment where we thought, oh my God, they're coming back in this. But then they were just turned down. Yeah,
and now we're going from Erangel to Sanhok, two completely different geographies. Last time we went from Erangel to Miramar in the first semi-final, so this time we're going straight into that close distance, CQC almost.
And no vehicles for Greece and Europe.
Apparently, if you missed that before, ladies and gentlemen, Shinjay, the general for Team Greece and Cyprus, when Toby asked him about anything that we should look out for or expect on Sanhok, he made a rather vague comment with regards to not using vehicles.
And then he said maybe.
And then sort of back to him, maybe, I don't know, you'll see.
What we will see, you will see.
And that's exactly what's happening right now. We can all see both teams dropping in over the jungle paradise known as Sanhok.
Now, last time around, when we saw the Turkish and the Finnish team playing each other, it was cluster from start to end. The game didn't surpass 22 minutes, I believe. But this time around, seems to me like the whole battle for boot camp ain't even gonna start because Greece has taken full control.
Okay, so explain that to me. In what way have Greece taken full control?
I mean, they're all in boot camp.
Okay, which is what you mentioned to me before in terms of boot camp being
it's just like
extremely important for consistently winning on this map.
It's just, I mean, that's a public game, like sort of public match thing, whereas if you win boot camp, then you technically don't really have to play the rest of the game.
And does that carry over into competitive?
No.
Okay.
By no means. It's more of a funny thing to say.
Oh, okay. I thought you were being okay.
No, you don't really get any wins from just winning boot camp.
You have to tell me if you're memeing in the public context.
sorry.
I don't know all the memes, man. You're out memeing me, man.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that was possible. But what we do see here is Chen. I mean, he's a little off guard, or a little off.
Oh, yes.
And their opponents are up.
Oh, he's going straight in, and that's going to be a free kill.
First kill of
the
game taken by the commander. Speak of a guy off the front line. He's right there.
Yeah, that's the man that you want leading you into battle, right? Emotionally, physically, charging ahead, creating the pathway for his team, both through leading them and through action. Hand on heart. No, hand on head, we salute you. That's not a phrase, but I've coined it, okay?
It sounded perfect to me.
Hand on head.
One thing though, for those of you guys wondering how come he's picking up all this 9mm ammo for the Vector, is that they're playing on the new server, on the new patch, came out 2 days ago. And, if you didn't know already, the UMP has become a 45 ACP weapon, and the Vector has become a 9mm one. A little change up there, and a little change up in magazine sizes. But for those of you guys confused by that, who haven't played over the last couple of days, that's just how the cookie crumbles.
How does that affect the way matches play out?
That specific change alone might not affect that much, but it does change up how the weapon works. Damage is now a little less, and we'll see both of it come into hand here. Look at this.
Shinjay is just hunting, but right now Vol's got the angle. Can he land the shot? Perhaps, yes, he can, and that's the captain. Shinjay falling very, very early. The general knocked down and out, looted, left to rot on the floor for the rest of the matchup.
And Voln71 has got a big fat bounty on his head now, that's for sure, because he just took down the enemy captain. You can see Karaflidis.
Papa!
No,
Shinji!
no, Captain!
All he can hear is...
Why were you not there to help me?
Oh, well, he is, jokes aside, keeping an eye on that barn area, seeing if he can catch anyone running out, but I think it's a bit too late, mate.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot more to it. He ran off. He knew who he was. He knew who he just took out. And oh my God, there's no way this guy just landed here alone. I'm going to just send it off. And well, fortunately for him, he managed to get out of there alive. New circle, though.
Negriano coming to back him up. I wonder if he's named himself after the famous vermouth cocktail, the Negroni.
Ooh, that is not a bad name to have. Are you a fan? Are you a fan?
I like Negronis. Negronis are good.
Yeah,
dry,
yeah.
interesting, sophisticated, you know?
This time around, though, going back to talking about the game, this time around we see sort of a opposite of what we saw before. Because right now the Ukrainian team has a change. Should the northern part of the split decide to move down towards Quarry, they could potentially pin the Greece and Cyprus team on the very edge of the circle. Now, I don't know if they'll be allowed to do it, but if it could be put in to try and do so.
Okay, thank you for that input. I'm just taking a look at the general positioning that we can see on screen. The red zone not really affecting anyone there. Piersos in Fissio.
Come on.
In Fissio. I've noticed, by the way, that 2 players at least have the name Piersos, so I assume that that's a Greek or Cypriot clan. So in Fissio there, navigating around the red zone, and we jump into the supply crate that Skidoo is pillaging.
Skidoo.
Not
picking up the M249.
He's just kind of bathing, relaxing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
before the calm is the storm. Do you know that old saying? Yeah.
Not the way that you put it up, but
hey, man, I'm out here.
We're here all night, guys.
Oh, man. Yeah, everybody at home, don't forget that we also have the finals for the Americas happening later
That's gonna
tonight.
be good.
Got to get this best of 5 out the way first, but we have still a long stretch of fantastic 32 versus 32 PUBG action.
That's going to be a good one too. The Americans just killed off the Canadian.
Oh, did they have
a big match happening there?
North American derby.
Exactly, and they took the win there. So of course they want to secure themselves the whole thing. They kind of just beat off them, but then go out themselves. So we'll see. Later on tonight, it's going to start at around midnight CET. So
we'll have our midnight snacks, or we'll have our pajamas on.
Ooh, PUBG pajamas.
Share a little bubble bath beforehand, perhaps to really relax and de-stress.
Do you have to tell the viewers everything we're planning on doing here, Paula?
You're right. All right. We're going to be relaxing before that. Either way, I don't think anyone on the server is relaxed right now. However, if we do contrast this to the game the match on Sanhok that we saw between Team Turkey and Team Finland, which kicked off literally shots fired within a minute 32 minutes, this is very different.
Before 6 minutes in the Finland-Turkey match, we were down to half players alive. At 6 minutes, we had only half the players on the server alive. We have under 30 players alive at that point. And now we lost 2. So one being Sinjay getting a good kill early, but the other kill being Sinjay going down. And he just completely contradicted. The only thing he wanted to tell us was that his team wasn't going to use vehicles, and now there are 4 guys in the car.
Maybe the vehicle gambit was in the situation that he falls early.
Yeah. If I go down, you can start doing vehicles, guys.
And by the way, I just had word from my producer, that Chinjay is claiming that he lost that gunfight, because he thought he had auto fire on, when in fact
the
he didn't.
excuses are coming in now.
I didn't exactly notice if he was not firing at all, maybe thinking he was. But only time will tell. We'll
gotta put on auto fire, guys. Gotta press that B or V or whatever you keep under it.
Here we go. First engagement. We've got 2 stacked rosters of either team approaching each other. I'm wondering if Chinjay falling early is going to be an advantage or disadvantage, because what he might not be able to do on the battlefield, he can potentially recoup in terms of better communication. Even though they're great at that, he could offer even more.
But that's the thing, right? Because for the other teams, you talked about, it doesn't really matter too much that he went down because he still has the overview. But, I mean, for Sinjay in specific, he was a big factor in their fight. He threw that nade, but he also had 4 kills before that.
And the final flank as well.
He clearly was a big part of their firepower. And with him out of the picture, well, I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe this is where we get things tied up too.
Indeed, the first engagement lands in favour of Orange Snow of Team Ukraine. Nifo is the one that gets knocked, but he's not down out yet.
Not just yet.
Drone cam showing the Ukrainian side taking some strong high ground in two different locations. The Greek team, by the looks of it, are more spread out. I need to see the overall map, but the Greek team does have some high ground too.
They do. You can see the entirety of the Ukrainian teams have taken the cave spot, and they're, of course, not sitting in the cave, but on the big hillside surrounding the cave. So they have clear vision down towards some of the Greek and the Cyprus players. But what will they want to do with the info? Because clearly they're not moving on, and I think they're waiting those 5 more seconds to see where that next circle will pop.
Before that circle pops, or as it pops, let's take a cheeky listen in with Team Greece Cyprus.
Όχι με τους κάτω, με το 4. Γιατί όχι με το νούμερο 4.
Something with rotation, rotation, maybe?
But he's still being very... The main thing to notice, right, even if we can't understand it, is that he's being very vocal still, very locked in and engaged.
They just realized there were a ton of them rotating up there. That must be it. They just saw all of the Ukrainian players up top. That must be it. The commander saying, guys, we need help. Quarry? Something with quarry?
Yeah.
Παιδιά, το Team 4 να πάει στο mark μου. Εδώ.
Εκεί πάω.
Τέλεια.
Well, Pandex now pinned down.
One στο mark μου.
And if you guys are confused right now, who you're listening to is actually the leader, Shinjae. He's the one still, despite being down and out, he's the one calling the shots of what's going on.
That was a tense moment, but we are still 31-31. The communication there from Shinjae as powerful as ever, commanding as ever.
My bet is what he said was fall back towards Quarry. Because he knew that some of them were kind of caught up on the hills, and you can see right now Pandix is caught on the other side of the road. He wants them to be all together, and he says fall back towards Quarry. But I'm sure there's some Greek viewers in the chat that could correct me if I was wrong in what I was saying.
This is so different to our last Sanhok match, because it seems that both teams are favouring approaching from long engagements. There wasn't a massive boot camp battle at the start.
Nope. And that's kind of also a contrast to the map itself. But we are down south where there's a bit more space between the tweets. And as you can see, as you said yourself right there, Perfectix, very, very close to the opponents. And whoever gets around this corner first, Billum, we saw him be very active and aggressive.
He's looking the complete opposite, wrong way.
Yep, they're not expecting this guy to be here, that's for sure.
Here we go. Walking through, I think, rice fields.
Perfectix, yeah, Perfectix. There are only 3 guys, though, so do they want to ingress on this? I'm not sure they do.
Trigger discipline there, but then does get caught on the way out. Not sure who spotted him, but his position has been revealed, and that will lead Greece to believe, or at least be aware, there could be more people on the side of this hill.
And they need to figure if they want to sit around up here for much longer, because they are still only 3 up alive, and they're very outnumbered.
Mobsy makes the push, looking to engage with SDAA. Misses seeing him, takes a bullet, runs back off, switches position, little bait and switch there with Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew, I love
Save our memes, guys.
I love that name. Pepe Le Pew Pew. Also, Alpha, Alpha last game has only landed a ton of shots on towards the Greek team, despite the fact that they lost. He was the one up front there up on the hilltop over by Quarry that actually took down a pretty big part of their team. I think he took down 4 guys before he ended up getting killed off himself. So valiant effort for him coming in. And now, they have the higher numbers. They have the 31-28 lead. Let's see if they can do something with it, though. 20 seconds, make that 15 until the new circle pops. But more for
the Ukraine team, the Ukraine side have a lot of varying angles here. They have a lot of high terrain, but then they've also got some mid positioning, and it seems like it's paying off because their angles are better at revealing the enemy team than Greece and Cyprus seeing them.
And this is working perfectly in the favor of Ukraine. If we can look at the map real quick once again, look at the pin down they have of the Ukrainian players. This entire quarry completely blocks them from rotating out eastward. So Greece, they have the river on the west side as well, blocking them too. This water is just making it so tough for them.
Oh, but Greece firing back now with 3 knocks in a row. In these gunfights, they just seem to explode and connect with their shots when needed.
And you have to now, because they're starting to realize we cannot get pinned down here. We need to aggress on some sort of front. And it seems like their front, at least from now for Freeze, he needs some help from his teammates in being able to aggress on this one. They need to push down south really fast.
Billum looking to land some long-distance shots there. Then put down suppressing fire on Fino. We're even Stevens, 28-28. Oh, as I say that, one of our players has been removed from the server.
But
deleted.
Look at the disengage once again from the Ukrainian team. They're all going up towards the cave area now. They know these guys. They have to come down. They have to cross the road. And they'll say, you know what? We'll just back off. We'll let you guys be the ones on that roadside who has that tough cross to make. So smart plays coming in from Ukraine here as well. Look at the road they have to cross to get into this circle. I mean, this is going to be so difficult.
You spotted early on that the position Greece and Cyprus were in was a bit tricky, but they've managed to not really take a lot of damage so far. It's still pretty close, but presumably now with the circle change and how much pressure they have to advance, they're going to have to take some risks.
It seems to me like the Greek team wants to go down south by the water and make the run down there. It seemed like it on the map just before they were sort of prioritizing more players down there. And as you can see on your minimap on the right-hand side, there are a bunch of Ukrainian players sort of holding off the entire side up by Croy. And you can see how much room they're making down now towards the swarm area, or the cave area, sorry. Like, they're all committing to this push down here that was completely set up only by Freezy on his own.
This is just mesmerizing to watch.
It is.
Seeing how many small engagements are happening. Oh, suddenly 4, not 5 knocks for Greece and Cyprus. 6 and just 2. Oh, now 4. Dude, oh my God, dude. What is going on? The kill feed is exploding. Literally in front of our eyes.
Freezy got 3 knocks really quickly. You called out them earlier. That allowed for him to push down. Say, guys, this road is clear. We got to take it right now. This is the gap we need. This is the gap we're going to get. And we ain't going to get more of them. So they're sending it. They're running it right now. And they have a good thing going for them. Now all of a sudden they're in the lead.
That is a huge swing in favour of Greece and Cyprus. It only puts them slightly ahead now, even. But in terms of getting things closer, and look at this. It's like this short little battle around the rock where a death squad of Greek and Cypriot players have rushed in, and now they're forming, getting close together. Toby.
Dobra went down in that fight right there, so that's once again going to be...
And they're backing off.
And down, and they got the landmass they needed. We talked about Ukraine and how well they pinned them down, but once they pushed that bull, once they pushed the dog up against the wall, it started biting and it scared them off.
That's crazy. We really thought that the Greek and Cypriot players were in a rough spot, and they had to make a move. They were exactly, and they had to make a play, and they did. They got aggressive, and they said, let's just go on the attack, go on the offensive. This is the only way that we can get out of here. They're still at a disadvantage in the sense that the circle is not favouring them, but at least they can advance that ground.
And they have the momentum going their way now. You might not think of it as much, but it is very, very impressive to see what they're doing here. This is by far one of the best comebacks I've seen in all of this. I mean, despite the fact they were even in numbers, they still got things going their way. Fights constantly happening, fine going down, but the nades are coming in return, and they're doing everything they can to push on this because they need to move forward. Circle is already closing in.
This Ricefield Hill is the central location of the battle right now. Again, it's a battle for geography, a battle for landmass, for angles, for the advantage. We've got covering fire coming from Nazgul as the other Greek and Cypriot players sort of make that big arc shape that we've seen commonly throughout today.
I mean, the terrain here is so hard to play around, and you can see once again how far pinned down the Greek players are. But Orange no double coming in there, securing some more damage. On 18-18 tie right now, and it's very spread even. And right now the Ukrainians, they need to take full control. They have them pinned down not only against the blue, but also against the water. They have them completely pinned down in the corner, and they need to utilize this.
18-18, completely even, but 3 knocks for Ukraine, making 2 of them into full kills.
Listen
again,
to
the kill feed lights up.
Listen to the fire. There's not a single split second with no shots fired. It's popping off insanely right now. Butsman going down. Flipperino has got everything working his way right now, securing himself his 2nd kill. Doing more damage up the hill now, but he's doing down return.
It's still so even. The kill feed lights up, but we're relatively close. Greek and Cypriot players, though, Nifo, Orange, and Byronara and Bub. Okay, this is getting out of control.
I think trying to play by
and it's even again
too much.
It's so hard to keep up with this and see all the separate engagements. This is really frenetic, a really frenetic pace.
Keep in mind, guys, that knocks aren't shown on the scoreboard, so there could be like 5 knocks and would only technically be 5 guys on their feet for Ukraine. We won't know. You see, there's no Spoon has been knocked up there as well, so that's 1 player down more from their team, but it's very low in numbers on both sides, and every single kill here could be the difference maker.
Yeah, this is, I would say, the final battle, and I think the Ukrainian team have quite the advantage, but yours Death coming in with 2 knocks.
Holy cow, that's
that is huge because those guys are on their own, but the teammates could support them. Shiva, though, unsuccessful in that.
Capless is down there. If he can get the double res up, those 2 extra players in hand could be the difference. We'll see 1 more going down, and all of a sudden, seems like the Greeks, they're starting to get control again. 9v7, this is so damn close.
I'm looking at the minimap, trying to weigh up who is up and who is not. I can see 5 blue markers and maybe 3 red or 4
I only
red.
see 2. I only see 2 on them. It's Mopsy, it's Naskell, Magebane is up as well. So 2, 3, 4 maybe, and 2 knocks.
It's even Stevens. That's a huge play there by Magebane, but he needs to stay up. Unfortunately, he does not.
3 guys alive, I believe, for the Greek side of things.
3 versus 4.
5,
3
5.
versus 5. Yeah, there's 3 people grouped together there. The closing moments of this matchup.
People talked about how it never happened, how it never got this close. Even when I talked to when I talked to Chinche about it, like, oh no, it never gets so close. Well, I mean, sure it does.
Ooh, Mobsy there with a very important knock onto Kotanok. But Voln returns the favour. Oh, they're really aggressing now. They're trying to close this out. And the Greeks come through!
They need to as well. They're all by themselves. Look at this. They have 2 guys knocked, and they know we're so few remaining. We have to play as a team. There's still people in the backside. And there's only 2 guys left now on the Ukrainian team.
Pearsos with a
huge
play.
True Sweet is knocked as well. So it's only 2 guys alive.
2
versus 4.
Versus 4.
The fact that they were all together on the top of the hill, the Ukrainian or the Greek and the Cyprus team, gave them such an advantage. Now all of a sudden, 2v4, they have the circle. Sergey doesn't need to move anyway. He can be like the surprise element down here.
Snake in the rice field.
He can be the landmine that they have to step on at some point if they want to make the run down here, while Happy is trying to sort of hold them from even being able to get down here. But it's going to be so tricky. 2v4 would be one hell of a clutch here.
Yeah, he's the snake in the rice field. You go to reap what you've sown, your crop, and he comes out and he bites you on the ankle.
And he needs to do some damage too, because as soon as he starts shooting, there'll be 2 or 3 players shooting at him, and Happy has to be there to help. But they're maneuvering around the side. They know that Happy is in the compound, and Sergey needs to be...
Oh, he's going for the big flank. He wants to get up top and go around the back. This could be such a huge play. This could even things up completely. He needs to stay hidden.
You see, 1 player has made this way all the way down to the compound. Now, I'm not sure Happy is aware of this. You see, Sergey spots 1. That's on the other side of the road. But your Steph is down here. Your Steph is down by the compound wall, and I'm not sure Sergey has spotted him.
Sergey did not see him there. He was, we can see, in his sight. And again, but it's pixels to him, right? We can see the name. We can see everything.
1 more spotted.
And again, he keeps turning, but he's turning too fast.
Yeah.
He can't see the young man behind the wall.
Trigger discipline. Trigger discipline. Starts shooting. That's 1 down immediately. You've got to reposition. Nice play, but it could have cost him too much, and he goes down in return. 1v3 now for Happy.
A 1 versus 3 in this situation would be huge. We know that yours Death, is not someone on the radar for Team Ukraine. He lands the final blow on Happy. That was absolutely sensational. That was so sick.
The fact that they turned this around.
Yeah, that was so intense. I've got few words to describe, a few more superlatives. That was really exciting. The way the game developed, it had a measured start, not very slow, but it was measured and careful.
Yeah.
And it looked like Ukraine did quite literally get ahead. And then the Greek and Cypriot players came through, and I think it was the aggression that paid off, making firm decisions and taking action.
They had to. I mean, they were just pinned down completely. They were like the bottleneck they had to push through was so tricky. They had quarry on one side, they had the river on the other, they had the entire cave area that was completely controlled by Ukrainian players. They could just look down and spray them on. But once Freezy was the single person that opened this up. Triple knock, then said, guys, follow me. I got an access point here. we saw the entire team just swoop around the western side and they just pushed their way in like crazy.
Yeah, that was such
insane.
A great sort of approach from the Greek Cypriot players. I feel that one turning point that could have paid off for the Ukrainian team was, I think, like, not the penultimate engagement, but near the end where they were on one of the hills and they gained some momentum from knocking some of the Greeks. They need to commit to that a bit more. I'm not entirely sure if I'm right or wrong about that, but it was the moment where they had slightly favourable
and they had them. They had them pinned down in the corner. They had them at a solid 40% angle, like 40-degree angle. Once you only have to worry about that, if you know there's no one behind you on either of your flanks, you have got to contain them. You have got to pin them down, and they failed to do so.
Indeed. Toby, that one was absolutely sick. I don't think we're going to have an interview right now. Chinge is probably trying to regain his... and remember,
he died first.
Chinge died first.
Yeah.
And maybe him being able to oversee everything a bit better sort of rallied the troops. I don't know. There are so many factors playing into this. We won't be speaking to his team right now, talking to him. We're going to head straight to a break. That was a crazy matchup. They're now 2-0 up in this best of 5. The next map could be the final. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 5 minutes for the third map of this best of 5.
Μπράβο.
Ο ένας είναι μακριά ο άλλος.
Και να πάρουμε το λόφο. Ο λόφος, αν κοντρολάρουμε το μεγάλο λόφο, θα μας βοηθήσει πάρα πολύ γενικά. Ρε μαλάκα, single fire το είχα.
Πούσαρα το πούσαρα.
Δεν με πούσαραν, εγώ τον πούσαρα και το είχα single fire. Δεν πειράζει. Γενικά, guys, πιστεύω ότι αν παίξουμε το λόφο εδώ πέρα θα είμαστε πολύ καλά.
Да, спускают.
Так и звучит.
Хотят заходить к Вале. Все спускают, туда надо вот эту хрень.
К перфектису пройдите, к перфектису, и все.
Там тачки.
Давайте так, чтобы издалека могли прикрывать. Найс, меня можно разрезать.
Плантага, тебе как много?
Поднять меня.
Кейв, отдайте кейв, отступите с кейва.
Отходим.
Πουσάρουνε το λόφο κοντά! Πουσάρουνε το λόφο κάτω αριστερά! Πουσάρουνε το λόφο κάτω αριστερά!
Όχι μάλλον, το πορτογαλί είναι. Πότε, πουτάνε.
Μπράβο ρε παιχτάρα! Μπράβο ρε παιχτάρα!
You think I'll beg for mercy? Fall to my knees to be your girl. Are you really that deluded? I wouldn't touch you for the world. 'Cause I know, I wake up in the morning thinking this is my new love. And I know, we break up in a week because of your snowman syndrome. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, Don't need your conversation. Babe, I'm afraid you're out of luck. That's too much information. Don't care about miles, that's whatever. Oh no, you wake up in the morning thinking this feels dumb as hell. Oh no, no one could ever love you like the way you love yourself. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as, yo, I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as, yo, ain't no way I'd give it up, move to you like I'm in love. You want it, but can't get it, baby, I don't give a, do I look like I'm in love? You want it, nah, you can't get it. Oh, I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as, yo, I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as, yo, He's a world that's against you. He's a fear that's pulled you down. You're scared to move a muscle. Paralyzed, you're making no sound. He makes you feel like a child who's scared of the night. Turning your light on. He waves fear in your face and brings it to life. Turning your light on. Turning your light on. Turning your light on. You've got to open your eyes. He's nowhere inside. Turning your light on. You're looking in the mirror. He's the starting all around. You try to find the answer.
Wow, what an electric second map there in our second semi-final of the evening between Team Greece and Cyprus and Team Ukraine. My name is Parla, and I'm your desk host for this week, and I'm joined by the expert analysis of Toby.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It was insane. I mean, a big MVP star right there to Freezy, pushing around the side. I mean, we talk about how the privates, how the pawns don't have a saying, like vocal saying, but he must have been like, guys, 3 knocks, please come. There's actually a hole down here, because that was the only room they had to rotate from the Greek Cyprus team, and it all happened because of him.
It seems that in that match and in our first Sanhok match of the day, that both times it's delivered in terms of some crazy engagements happening, crazy gunfire. But compared to the first one of the day, the second one, it built up sort of momentum, and then just suddenly the kill feed lit up about 15 minutes in or something. And from there, then after that, there was a bit of backpedaling, a bit of relaxation, and then again, boom, everything kicked off.
And the thing is, in the end of the game, actually, the Ukrainians had the numbers advantage, but they kept, I think, 3 or 4 players in that compound to sort of make sure that they couldn't push further, because the compound was technically on the edge of the circle. But as we talked about before, the Greek players, they don't look at the circle. They just see, we are here, we need to fight these guys. Sure, don't go into the blue and tank a lot of damage, but as long as you're staying within the perimeter, it doesn't matter with, in the next circle, this will be the better spot. Just take the fight here and now, and that's why they had the high ground position in the end there. They had the players' advantage, because 2 of them on the other team was left in the compound.
Yeah, we've spoken now twice to Shinjay, the captain, the general for Team Greek / Cyprus, and I just spoke to his friend Jason outside, and I asked him, I said, he seems so focused. Shinjay seems to be taking this very seriously, and also he's trying to develop these tactics, and they have this communication strategy, which you mentioned before. And Jason said to me, yo, like, this guy in Greece, we really respect him in PUBG. He does take it very seriously, and he's like our mind. He's not necessarily the best individual player, but he's a guy that's applying his brain to the esport, and so that's really cool. I think that's showing. I think Andy played a great game earlier, and so did Team Turkey. But I feel right now Shinjay is showing as a general something that we haven't seen so far. I don't know about the rest of the competition, the other teams that have been there. But how does he compare for you as a leader?
He is doing a lot. I mean, you can see he's constantly talking. We haven't seen Dobra either. I mean,
no, we haven't seen Dobra talk too much.
We haven't seen too vocal. Maybe she has been, but just not. Maybe she's more like subtle in what she said, like just boom, info, stop. I mean, he's constantly giving info, and you need that, especially when you have so many troops to gather around.
And especially when you die at the start, being the very first death on your team, which is what happened in that second map. And we were debating, is this going to... Because in the first match, he stayed alive the entire time, and he had some good frags, good nades. And so we were thinking, when he dies, is he going to have a better overview and control of the game, or are they going to suffer from not having him on the battlefield? It seemed perhaps that it did help the team out.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe...
Could be reading into it too much, but I don't know.
The thing is,
he was still very vocal.
Yeah, he was, right? But had he been alive, he might not have caught on that Freezy was around the side and actually might have had a chance to push. Maybe he was on him, spotting that they had the push opportunity around the corner, and then he said to the guys, go with them. That's what I want to hear from him. I'll talk to him afterwards to say, how did that actually go down?
It would have been great to speak to him again after that second map, but it is a bit much to ask to constantly interview.
Every time.
we want our generals and teams to be locked in and focused, right?
For sure.
And now we're moving on to our third map. We're going to Miramar this time, which is the largest map in PUBG. So, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and so in that sense, what can we expect from these two teams going into it?
What we've seen both not work for Finland and also not work for Ukraine so far is allowing for the opponents to pretty much dictate the battle. Like, they're the ones to decide when we engage. They're the ones who says, we want to fight the fight here. Like, they get to pretty much pick the battlefield, pick everything they want, and also, well, in the end, win the games, right? I need Ukraine. Here on this open map, you have a chance to do these rotations. They've been doing a lot, but you need to, first of all, execute them, and second of all, stand your ground. You talked about how they should never have backed all the way off of Cave.
I don't know. Sorry, we were discussing, like, a bit of a theory. I was asking you for your opinion on it. On that second map on Sanhok, when Ukraine had an advantage, the Greek Cypriot team were pushed to the side near the water, and then the circle repositioned to behind the Ukrainian team. I was thinking, when they backpedaled a bit there, should they not have just been a bit more aggressive to try and force the Greek team to push into them? Instead, they backed off, then let them push into them, which gave them a bit of ground.
Yeah, it did. They allowed for them to take more, and I mean, there's a strategic, I guess you could say, reasoning behind them doing that.
Yeah,
it makes sense, but But, I mean, had they stayed, who knows what would happen, right? And for this map, with the area being open, with it being so easy to get pinned down in an open spot where you can just get pushed on, because clearly the firepower, at least from what we've seen right now, is in the hands, like the advantage is in the hands of the Greeks. They need to come up with something that they haven't played on yet. But if not, then it's going to be yet another 3-0.
Now, on Sandhawk, which is the smallest map, we still saw initially both teams engaging from a distance, and then suddenly, the kill feeds lit up. On Miramar, do you think most of the fighting is going to be happening over longer and medium distances, and then things will close in at the very end, which is kind of, in a sense, more like traditional competitive PUBG?
Unless if we see, like we saw on the Sandhawk of the previous match, where a lot of teams or players jump into the same city, then I would assume that it's going to be mainly distance. Of course, I mean, if the game comes down to the final couple of circles, there's only so far apart that you can be because the map is not that big anymore. But if, like, for the majority of this game, this is going to be a stalled up match, I would assume.
Okay, well, I think in that sense we'll be able to see from both generals what they bring to the table that's a bit different from the first two maps. That's going to be going shortly. I think they'll be jumping into the server soon. Looks like Shinjae is maybe...
He's writing on Twitter, right?
Yeah, writing on Twitter or Googling or something.
Listening to some music maybe as well. Oh, now he's going in the game like, oh, wait, they're looking at my screen. Oops. Oh, yeah, I'm playing PUBG, guys. I'm playing PUBG. Don't worry. I'm playing PUBG, as you can see.
Yeah, there we go. So it should be a minute if one of our generals doesn't fail to get into...
Oh, they're 64 on the server. You can see in the corner. So
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen at home, get your votes in chat now about who you think might win. I wonder which team is favoured by our audience.
We'll have to go back in the VOD and watch afterwards. But one thing that is cool, we talked about how, for the Finnish side of things, it gathers the community more. I've been told by some of these guys out back that the Greek and Cyprus players, actually the community, they have rented a cafe where they're having a viewing party for this. I mean, if that's not your entire country standing behind you waving those flags, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, it does seem like the Greek Cypriot team are very committed to this tournament. They want to have a strong result. They've got friends here supporting them, and they have...
Yeah, they flew in friends as well to be here, like, in person.
Yeah, some are apparently playing from a
Inferno
online here in Sweden. And then, their friends back home on the squad are also playing together in the same... I'd love to be in that LAN cafe. It's probably lit as hell right now.
It must be.
All right, everybody, I'm going to ask you a question. Where are we dropping?
Hacienda.
Okay. All right. The plane is overhead, swooping in steadily, and things are about to get underway. It's GLL Nations Royale, our second semi-final. Who's going to join Team Turkey in the final? If Greece and Cyprus win this third map, they will.
Yeah.
But can Ukraine do the reverse sweep? If we look at historically over our semi-finals, Team Finland couldn't do it. But that does not mean it's impossible.
Over a vast category.
Sample size.
Yeah, we have so many games to look at. All our semifinals we've done so far.
It sounded dramatic, man.
It worked. It worked perfectly. I just completely ruined it for you. Sorry. But look at what's happening once again. I mean, you got the Ukrainian team out east, and so Pandix is flying west. I was saying maybe they're just Pandix.
Oh, Pandix.
Just Pandix. Yeah. I was just saying they are kind of splitting them up again. I mean, there's only a 3-man in the Pensa, but I mean, you got Jagger, and they're all on the same team. You talked about how Persos were a team, and now you can see 3 of them with the same tag right there, and they're all like they're the 3 guys splitting them. So that makes perfect sense.
SDAA, one of my favorite gamer tags to pronounce.
It's pretty straightforward.
Sta'a. Maybe we should have been saying Sta'a. Sta'a.
Yeah. Freezy, though, on our screens. I mean, I gave him a lot of credit, but honestly, and that's what we're talking about, because when you say 32 versus 32, it's hard to notice those...
An individual impact.
Yeah, because you just see the whole bunch of players like run around the corner, and you say, oh, obviously it must just be a team thing, right? And it is. But every fight starts with the first bullet fired. And the fact that he got 3 knocks before the opponents did anything, and they were kind of weak on the southern side down there because they had a lot of focus on the compound, and they had a lot of focus on trying to hold those people up by Quarry. So they were like that. That was the weak. He was like, you know, the orc in Lord of the Rings that runs in with the torch and blows up the entire wall.
Second or third or Lord of the Rings reference. I really like it, man.
Yeah.
Can we get Lord of the Rings X GLL X esports?
Last week it was all Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Star Wars. I love Lord of the Rings as well, but Star Wars.
I can't come up with any Star Wars references that would do his thing. But he indeed was the Luke to shoot the missiles down.
Oh, hello, Jesus. How's it going, buddy?
He doesn't seem so happy about
Doesn't
this.
look so good.
Maybe we should stop doing all those references.
A bit of a green hue to his body as well. Not entirely sure what's going on.
Hulk Jesus, is that the new thing?
What?
Hulk Jesus?
Hulk Hulk Jesus, guys. Hulk Jesus in the chat, please.
Yeah. That's a skin in the game called Religion. I guess I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah.
We're here all weekend, guys. We're here all weekend.
Right now, our drone cameraman has flown in over Chinjay and his 3-man squad as they wait out the red zone explosions, fireworks going off. That is an exploded vehicle, I think.
Feels bad. No buggy for you.
No buggy for you, buddy.
And interesting to me that these are the same 3 players who had to defend him last time around, which they clearly failed at doing.
God,
does he give them a second chance?
I was going to say, do you think that there are even more distinct roles in there? Because beforehand, ladies and gentlemen, if you're at home and you missed it, we were talking about grunts and privates, and then captains or lieutenants, and then the general. Do you think he has like the Royal Guard?
I mean, it's
a bodyguard group,
it's
right?
The same 3 guys I think that are here, Bironara and so many. I think it's the same 3 guys that are here. Now they get red zone again. Clearly, the game wants to give a chance to Ukraine. Like, where is the enemy captain? We will just explode him. So he's coming into the last fight with so much PSD that he cannot even, shell shock that he cannot even sort of focus. But
they're like the red dudes that stand around Snoke in episode.
Oh, now you're doing them as well.
8.
I love it. Thank you. You weren't leaving me hanging on the Star Wars reference.
We out here.
And there's probably some guys in the chat that can tell us exactly what the name of them are. But like the guard guys with the big red costume.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, like big red cloaks and the weird helmets.
Great scene, by the way. Great fight. Great choreography.
Oh yeah.
El Diablo.
Is that Sinjay?
Yeah, it could be.
There's some visual references, easily.
Did we have a Spanish team in the tournament?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How did they do?
They're not here.
So they're not El Diablo then, so it goes to Shinji.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Decided. We do see there was, I think, supply drop there in the... Sorry, I need to...
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'll leave you out of it for a second while you're regaining your health.
It looked... I think Hulk Jesus has affected me.
Hulk Jesus is coming.
It looked like there was a supply drop in the southwest. Pretty certain that was getting picked up by the Greek Cypriot team.
And that is actually something we haven't really talked a lot about. And this is something I would love to see if we go, like, if this becomes a thing, that Nations Royale, maybe Nations Royale is a format, but just the whole massive against massive teams, how if you get X amount of crates, right? If you have like 3 or 4 guys with level 3 gear, it's going to allow you to tank that 1 or 2 more bullets. Do you just dedicate that sort of clothing to the front line, and then do you have like dedicated tanks that can make the full-on sprint up towards your opponents? Like, how do you... There are so many ways you could go about in-depth macroing your team.
Yeah, like role... Like playing a role and like MOBA territory now in terms of...
Next thing, we can build barracks so we can get more teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good point. Let's take a listen in to Team Ukraine now. Dobra and her crew.
Я не видел, по крайней мере.
Calm.
Бомбом, отойди, ты далеко.
Quality over quantity.
Ты напас берешь?
Туда, у меня тут все нормально.
Кастел, у тебя есть машина?
Нет.
Нет, I understand. What number is no?
That means no.
So far, so good.
На мотике побыстрее будешь.
КП, заезжайте куда-то вот сюда на желтый.
Добро.
We can see them picking up a buggy.
You know what I like? This Orange Snow. He's a very, very skilled, competitive player, and he has a role here. He's the private chauffeur.
Private chauffeur
of the end game of the captain. That's a pretty good role.
What is that alien structure in the distance? Did you see that in the sea?
No.
Sorry, I'm still in Star Wars mode. Anyway, that was a nice listen in. We got to hear calm and collected communication there on the side of Ukraine. We've got Diffux whipping hard. Luigi meme there, Chameleonaire riding dirty on the bicycle. Don't want to go past him. He'll probably shoot you in the face, unless Inofficial shoots you first.
Yeah.
Shoots him first.
I like to talk about these things where, sure, I mean, you can spot on a guy and, yep, there's a chance you can kill him, but you also got to consider what happens when you fire that first bullet and he starts shooting back. Because as we can see right here, if he had started shooting, now he got spotted out anyway, but if he gets started shooting and he's that far out in the open, odds are that this guy ain't alone, and clearly he isn't, and now, buddy, you're pinned down behind a tractor.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. Official there took the risk of being out in the open.
Where is his vehicle?
I'm not sure, because he can't get in that combine harvester or tractor thing.
Yeah, it seems pretty broken to me.
Yeah. Maybe he can salvage some of the wheat and get his health back.
That's one thing I've always wondered about Miramar, how there are so many hay bales around, but it's a desert. You know, they kind of need water in order to have plants.
And it seems as though the pace has suddenly picked up. The Ukrainian team coming out on top. They got 2 knocks there, so guess who goes down? And it was Inofficial before, and 8OM. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of action now. And the Greek team coming off the worst for wear.
But it's pretty much around the same area, though. Perfectix kills off a teammate. That's not what you want to happen. So boom, boom, he goes down, but he should be able to get rest. Probably realized it immediately that it was a teammate he was knocking as well. And you can see Mopsy is trying to apply some sort of pressure.
Yeah.
But it's too little too late. The guys up top has already been taken down.
He does take some life, but...
Yeah, a little bit of damage done. That could be a Kevlar vest broken. Could be sort of crucial to the later fight.
Oh, wow.
Are coming in return. He's going down low. Now he has to reconsider.
Yeah.
Okay, so these guys are clearly landing their shots. And he's actually getting knocked. And that is Orange Snow. We talked about him before. Very, very skilled player. And he's not going to miss these shots. And Mopsy goes down. That's a huge loss for the Greece and Cyprus team.
But Scarlito... Oh, no, he was completely... killed. He wasn't just knocked there, was he?
Finished off.
Yeah, no, so Scarlito could not do anything to save his teammate. The circle, very central, actually.
But still, we see the Ukrainian team split into 2.
4 down for Greece and Cyprus. If we follow what happened in the second map, not necessarily too important right now. They are capable of crazy comebacks, but it's a good start for Ukraine nonetheless. It's always good to get things rolling early.
The record I've seen so far is 1 explosion in red zone, knocking 3 players.
Oh, wow.
I'm just scared for all these guys that are sitting way out in the open. Sure, they're on the edge of the red zone, but I mean, there's a chance.
I don't think.
Well, we'll have to wait and see once those explosions come in. You can see how many of them there are. Well,
ooh.
They're all starting to run down now. They don't want to be up here anymore.
Yeah. Oof, they timed that pretty much to perfection.
Yeah.
Rather confident in their positioning on the edge of the red zone. Nobody taking damage from that.
Also, it's a scary position to give up because you have to look at Boom Boom's position. I mean, with you have proper optics for it, you can see so far out into the distance.
Yeah, we've got Bomb still sticking it out on top. That is a great camera. This is like some Michael Bay or, I don't know, Mission Impossible, you know, when Tom Cruise climbs up the rock. I'm not sure if that was the... Which one that was?
Didn't he climb up a hotel?
Yes, but there's in one of the early Mission Impossibles, Mission Impossible 2, he climbs up a rock face in a very unrealistic way. That was as dramatic as that.
And then he rides a bike without a helmet on afterwards.
Sorry?
Then he rides a bike without a helmet on.
No, he actually hangs with one hand at a point. And then there's a bit where he swings from bit to bit.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I remember that. This is the snow kind of terrain-ish thing. But nonetheless, as we can see, as we saw before as well, Ukraine clearly putting the whole high ground advantage into play here. They want to go up, they want to get vision, and they want to get control, because twice now they've been taken down by the Greek and Cypriot team. And, well, I mean, they, of course, don't want to let it go into a 3-0. They want to have a chance. They want to make it as fast as they can. And, well, I mean, they got to start with winning this map right here.
Directed by John Woo. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to get it wrong, so I Googled it and went quiet for a sec. Yeah, directed by John Woo. Good action film. Anyway, the action right now in front of our eyes is starting to unfold a bit more. We see the Ukrainian team is split into 2 task forces, and the Greek Cypriot squad is kind of wedged in between but spread out lightly. They're now going to be pressured by the red zone to the west to move slightly towards the east.
Is this the entirety of the Ukrainian team? It just seems like there aren't a lot of players. Or what? Is it true? I mean, it must be, right? It must be.
It must be.
They just don't look like they're that many.
Yeah, I mean...
But they're all alive. Oh, it's because there are multiple people in the vehicles down south. Like
okay.
plus 2, plus 3, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense. I was just like, there's supposed to be more players on the map, aren't there? Unless if they're like far out into the blue, but I didn't really see that happening.
I love it, the traces and the...
Star Wars. Pew, 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 pew.
Look at that. Okay, so right now, though, these engagements... Oh, okay. Yeah, so now we're seeing the wedge coming in, the flank, right? But the Greek team responding to that, we can see in the middle of the screen one of the Greek Cypriot players on a bike, potentially doing some recon, trying to spot out players, knowing that he's unlikely to get knocked whilst he's on that.
He's going to give it
Oh, look at this. This is fantastic information gained.
Yeah.
He's peeked over the hill there and seen a little convoy of Ukrainians moving in the direction of his team.
He's going to hear all the vehicles. He's going to pass the info across, and he has a ghillie suit on, so maybe he'll stay hidden for a little while.
Yeah, SDAA also in a good position. I think he was the furthest back for his team.
Mm-hmm. And now he's the one in front. He is the guy taking charge, moving up forward. And as you can see right now, I mean, for both Bill and for both Jurstedt and Give It Tom 3, or Give It Tome, they're just hiding out. They're getting so much info right now for their team.
The Ukrainian side do have the advantage, if I'm not mistaken, of this being on the lip of this, I don't know what you call it, like a crater or a big, large crater. Yeah. But we've seen before that the Greek and Cypriot players aren't really afraid of challenging for advantageous geography.
And look at how they're running down there. Don't see them at all.
Oh, man.
They're not spotting. Did Archie just spot one? He might just have seen them
He
run
could have
on
spotted
in.
one or two, perhaps.
Yeah, and that's crucial info, because you know if there's two guys down there, the odds are that there's more coming.
Great shots there by Pandex. Sadovsky will most certainly be picked up, but nonetheless, it's a good way to put some pressure. And he's actually on the other side of this lip, as opposed to his team that were down in that valley sort of village area.
Yeah, this is where it becomes kind of a whack-a-mole thing, with everyone peeking up and down over the edge of the La Bandita crater. But if we take a look...
Oh, it is a crater?
Yeah, it is a crater. It is a crater. If we take a look at the map...
Good work by the developers. That was very clear to me.
You can see like the clear split of the Ukrainian team, but once again, they're not really aggressing. They're sitting very far, and this one is going to go boom straight on the head of the Greek players.
Wow.
And they're all running to the houses now.
Yeah, that is a disastrous turn of events for the Greek Cypriot team. The red zone pretty much containing them in the area that they are in.
If the Ukrainian players are smart and ballsy now, they know that the majority of Greek players, they will run to cover. They have to push all the way down up from north now and utilize this, because they won't be peeking anything. They'll be sitting in the crater.
How deep can they push? Because they can't push into the red zone, right? They need to find a position outside.
I would rather push into the red zone and lose a player or two in doing so, and still have them pinned down, because those two players will just get rest once the red zone's gone, right?
Okay.
So start making that run down now and pin them inside. If you can pin the entirety of the Greek and Cypriot team inside of the La Bandita, it's not a free win, but it's as close to it as it's going to get. Sora already blown to pieces.
Yeah, that is not a good way to go out. Botsman's risking. So how regularly do these explosions hit the same lightning strikes twice?
We'll see in a
Does
second.
that ever
He's
happen?
actually going for the rest in the explosion. Now shots are fired over the top. Botsman needs to make the runoff, but he's committed to this. There's some sort of a...
Oh, he's like body blocking for him as well, but he can't get him up. They're going to try to allow him to move himself to a slightly more hidden position, and Mr. Korakas and Yumba taking Alpha Dan off the server.
They were the first ones to go up and do this sort of split off to begin with. They've positioned themselves just south of Minas Generalis, as we can see up there on the north side in the compound. They can potentially, if they can do it, there are only 5 guys there, but they have a chance to sort of hold off the entirety of the, well, pretty much the better half of Ukraine.
Indeed. I feel like we're getting to an apex is the right word, but we're getting to a cusp, I feel, of a battle, of a kill feed lighting up. Either way, let's take a listen in with Team Greece and Cyprus.
Μπράβο ρε Λόλας.
Μπράβο Λόλα, μπράβο Λόλα.
Έλα ποιος ο Λόλας.
Λόλας.
Ω, το έφαγα. Έρχομαι. Εγώ το ρες.
Τέλος.
Μπράβο Λόλα.
Και φίνεις πήρες Λόλα. Ναι, έχω πάρει φίνεις, είναι ανοιγμένη στο 6 κάπου. Ναι, είναι πολύ edge αυτή και είναι πεινά... 6-7. Πρέπει να τους κλείσουν.
Ποια δεξιά του βουνού Botsman δεν μπορώ να καταλάβω.
Αλλά πες κανένα σκοπερίσιο.
He's talking to Botsman.
Κανένα σκοπερίσιο έχεις. Ναι.
They have to see this.
Ελάτε σε μένα.
Oh, look at this.
Yep, they have to see it. They have to call it in.
Full vehicle invasion, really stacking the pressure on their team Ukraine. Oh, and it's actually Team Greece that come out, Greece, Cyprus that come out on top, but then it's returned. Ukraine there. Ubivander finishing off Mr. Korikas and Yumba.
I love to see this play from the Ukrainians. They saw the compound. They were looking at it for a while. They were trying to count up how many people could potentially be down there. And then they pull like a move like we see all the Turkish teams do. They go down, they send it in, and they take them out. So well played. But if Saga can somehow throw a nade over on the other side, that could be a quad nade for him.
Oh, I thought he was going to go straight out the front door. There's a nade, but from Pullman. Into the smoke. That's a good nade.
They're all by themselves right now. But they're in a position to do this.
Greek name filling up the kill feed. Pullman under pressure, scoring some critical knocks. Those nades into the smoke, very smart.
The entire Persis team is just doing everything they can to help out. They got knocked once more faster inside the Molotov. That's going to be taking him down to very low HP, if not completely knocked to stagger. Somehow the Persis team here is holding them off, and now the help is coming in too from the hilltop. What a hold-off, but it did allow for the Ukrainian team to push around on the side. They have to focus this, and now it's going to be where communication is going to be the alpha omega.
These Greek Cypriot players, when put under pressure, they rise to the occasion. This is mirroring slightly what we saw on Sanhok. They're now in the lead by just 2 kills, but that's the swing.
Very, very, very impressive moves coming out from Ukraine. They dared, they sent it down, but in the end, the Persis team did way more damage than the Ukrainians were expecting.
They've got the crater.
They do.
Like swap positions from earlier.
Yep, pretty much. They need to push up. They need to get the damage done, and Orange Snow is going to initiate it.
Orange Snow going huge. Oh my God, that is a massive play. He's really risked it all there. Risked it for the chocolate biscuit, and he's...
He just got 4 players.
He's a one-man army.
He is doing all the damage, and it's allowing for the team to push up. But look at this. They're ready on the other side. You do not know what you're running into. And Magebane and company, they're sitting on the other side, just waiting for them to push on over. Don't over-aggress, gets the knocks, and you want to get the finish-offs too, but this is a dangerous place to fight around.
Yeah, and now the swing is going in favor of Ukraine. However, the Greek second task force is moving up now, potentially to try and stop complete kills.
You gotta be able to finish this off. You gotta do so much damage now, make the run on off. Nice job coming in there from people taking down Black Eagles. Goes down as well. Now Michael Kobe all by himself, as I was gonna say, it's actually a lot of people around a bit falls down.
This is
those meds run in.
Absolute mayhem. So hectic. They're all fighting on this thin lip, bobbing up and down, smoke grenades everywhere. Friends trying to save friends. Ooh, Chinjay taking the bulk damage of a grenade there.
These nades.
All those nades are not good. They might land his teammate.
I think it hit the teammate, right?
Yeah.
It like bounced off a teammate.
Yeah. Oh, and Perfect pushing up there. Gets rewarded for it. Chester tries to refrag, and he does. Dobra now and Sergey, Orange Snow coming to back up. He's actually throwing a nade. That could be a good hit.
Dobra's on the front line. We like to see this when the captains go up and they take charge physically and literally. And you can see she's actually the front line from her team right now.
Indeed. Really taking command. Give it to me. The flankers from Team Greece Cyprus are now getting flanked by Team Ukraine.
Yeah. This is the last few players that didn't go down to the compound. They stayed up on the hills behind, and Botsman all by himself now. This ain't gonna be easy. Spots 1. Spots number 2.
Oh my God. No, he's not going to get more than that. Still, 2 is good. But Ukraine now with a huge lead. A 10-man advantage.
Yeah, they're going to win.
17-6, yeah.
Important win too, because we get to go over to Vikendi next, which is the map we haven't really seen anyone play.
In the tournament so far?
No, in today.
Okay, yeah, no, today we haven't seen it. Yeah. Absolutely correct. Wow, all right. That was a sort of extended battle at the end there. It was a slow burn in terms of how those interactions played out.
But we talked about how Ukraine could not let the Greek team dictate the battle, and they send it to them. I'd love to see it.
Yep, and they're just doing the finishing blows.
Last player remaining. What you gonna do here, buddy? 1v16. Reload.
And there we go. yours death, falling as a ragdoll to his death. A great comeback from Team Ukraine off that loss on Sanhok. They played a smart game, and then we saw the fight break out over the crater, and it left Team Greece and Cyprus extinct.
Yeah, it was a good one too. I mean, they clearly set up their north. Sure, that red zone allowed for them to push further down, as we talked about. They actually did push further down from Minas Generales there, but the fact that they scouted down the compound, they looked down there, they saw, okay, let's just watch for like 30 seconds, see how much movement we actually see down there. Only saw a few players move around, and they just said, you know what, guys, jump in those vehicles, let's send it down and take them out, and they did.
Team Ukraine now get a dash on that scoreboard, putting the overall score as 2-1. This is a best of 5, however, so it still means that they are one loss away from going out of the tournament. They need to do the full, complete reverse sweep to get to that final against Team Turkey. What do you think Team Greece and Cyprus could have done better in this matchup?
Not get red zoned?
Yeah, that was, of course, that completely slipped my mind. That seemed like a massive turning point in terms of their positioning. That red zone just grouped them in, and Team Ukraine smartly took advantage of it.
They had a good position. They had them split off on both sides exactly how they wanted to. The Ukrainian team couldn't push down because they had people up on the ridgeline. They're looking down towards them. But as soon as the Ukrainian team saw all of them just go from the ridgelines down into the actual crater itself, into the houses, they knew, well, it's now or never, and they sent it to them.
So perhaps a bit of RNG coming in favour of Team Ukraine.
Some might argue.
Yeah, I do think we can still say they played a good game.
They did,
as did Team Greece and Cyprus. It would have been interesting to see how it would have played out if that red zone didn't happen the way it did, but that's the way
that's Nations Royale.
That's Nations Royale.
Yeah.
Right, Toby, any closing thoughts on this third map?
Not really. It was interesting. It was the way I said it was going to be like more slow paced until that final commitment happens, where we just ignite the fire and everything explodes, like we saw, literally going down in flames for the most people there. So no, not a whole lot more to it. Excited for Vikendi coming up next.
All right, well, thank you so much for that input. Everybody at home will be taking a short 5-minute break. This is our second semi-final here at the GLL Nations Royale. Who's going to come out on top? Is it going to be either... Gee, I've just got a complete mind blank. Which teams have we've got Team Greece and Cyprus against Team Ukraine. The score is currently 2-1. Everything is still to play for.
Μπεντίτα, τα αφήνουμε.
Ναι.
Παίρνει τα μάξι και έρχεται πάνω μας από 20.
Για να έρθει.
Έσκασε λάστιχο.
Убить всех на этой горе. Внизу под нами, под горой. Хорошо, дальше, дожимаем. Разрезали нокнутых.
Резать, гайс.
Нокнутых разрезайте, блядь.
Перфектикса поджимаю.
Γραμμή, πάρα πολύ.
Μπράβο, ρε. Από πάνω μου, ακριβώς. Βγαίνει, αριστερά μου, δύο άτομα. Πίσω μας. Марк μου πίσω.
Блядь, он только что не отображался, потому что на голубом.
Там просто на небе.
Да.
Найс!
Ахуй, блядь,
пошли.
Ахуй, блядь,
пошли.
endless hair. Fall to my knees to be your girl. Are you really that deluded? I wouldn't touch you for the world. 'Cause I know, I wake up in the morning thinking this is my new love. And I know, we break up in a week because of your snowman syndrome. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. Don't need your conversation, babe, I'm afraid you're out of luck. That's too much information. Don't care about models, that's whatever. I know, you wake up in the morning thinking this feels dumb as hell. I know, no one could ever love you like the way you love yourself. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. Ain't no way I give it up, move to you like I'm in love. You want it, but can't get it. Baby, I don't give a, do I look like I'm in love? You want it, nah, you can't get it.
is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the GLL Nations Royale semi-finals. We are on our second of the night. It's between Team Greece and Cyprus and Team Ukraine. Team Turkey, earlier in the day in our first semi-final, beat Team Finland to make it to the grand final, and now we're trying to figure out who is going to join them. My name is Parla, and I am your desk host for the duration of this weekend, and I'm still joined by the fantastic Mr. Toby.
Oh, Mr. Toby.
Yeah,
That's
I thought I'd
I like that.
gentrify it a bit, right?
That's nice. Oh yeah, how do you? No, let's not get into that. Let's not get into that.
So let's remind or refresh everybody at home with what's going on in this semi-final. Greece went up 2-0 in our third map. Ukraine struck back on Miramar, and we're currently stood at 2-1. So still a lot of pressure on the Ukrainian team. They need the reverse sweep to win. Greece, potentially though, also feeling the pressure from... You said that they haven't lost the map so far. Was that their first map lost?
I'm pretty sure it was. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty... I mean, you can fact check me, guys, if you want to, but I'm pretty sure it was their first loss.
Yeah, so... How they react to that, we do not know, and we'll have to see in this next matchup. The game will be getting ready soon, and we're going to Vikendi.
That's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a map that, as far as I know, you've never had the...
No.
One thing is casting, but another thing is actually...
I've not descended onto the snowy Tatooine-esque landscape of Vikendi.
Yep, that's amazing. You'll love it.
Yeah, well, I was talking to you before about the different types of map, and I was saying, yeah, man, they should add a snow map, because the last time that I worked on PUBG, I hadn't seen the map. It wasn't out yet. And so I am definitely...
You can see it now.
Excited. Yeah, I'm looking at the big one. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Can you tell me what the map is like in general terms, size-wise, where everybody's going to be meeting each other?
It's an in-between map, size-wise. So it's not as big as Serenkel and Miramar, and it's not as small as Sanok. So it's in-between. There is, again, the split down in the very middle of a lake that goes through the center, but it's frozen halfway down, so you can actually drive across it. Makes it very interesting, allowing for rotations to come in. But of course, I mean, even though it's frozen, it's still lake, and it's very difficult. But you see it right here.
Oh, and there's a little island in the middle as well.
Yeah, there's a big castle on it too, on the little island.
Is that a power position or more of eye candy?
Well, I mean, we've never
depending on the circle.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna depend a lot. You don't want to. It's one of those places that they're hard to breach, but they're also going to be extremely hard for you to try and leave if you get pinned sort of out there, because there's just 2 bridges. Make them 3 bridges actually, sort of leaving there.
This is looking like the most simple split of the map so far between Team Ukraine and Team Greece and Cyprus. They've gone pretty much 50-50, whereas in the last 3 maps, it's been a bit more complex in where people have landed. We do see one figure, SDAA, who we've seen pop off a couple times, straying into enemy territory. I wonder what's going on there. He's in close proximity to what looks about 6 players or 7.
What's interesting to me here as well is that we saw on the map that the Persos guys that were the ones to initiate the split of the Ukrainian team before, they're actually the ones sitting in the middle again, so that could be the call. Like the go-to strategy for the Greek and Cyprus team, that they sent these guys out kind of in the middle of the island to split off the teams, right? Because you have them up there in the Persos, they're up around Villa, and they have actually, if they rotate further west, they can, they can do something at least, sort of assist in splitting them up. But now we see down by the interesting area, we can go down to them right now and show exactly how this works. Boing.
Yeah, breaks through the cave. You were telling me about this. And there's 2 crates in here, correct? And just to go back
if you can get down there.
SDAA, what we saw at the start, it looked like what he did was go towards the area where he saw the Greek and Cypriot players dropping, and then kind of was doing some power recon and then swung back round.
Makes sense, right? You want to just not only see what direction they're going in, but also if you can, like, try and pin down exactly where you have these guys located. So if you rotate on it early enough, you can, you can already from an early stage start pinning them down. Because now we've seen the circle and where it's headed. And, hopefully we'll see something come off of it too. And also one thing we haven't really mentioned so far is the boost to the sniper rifles. That might add in to why we've seen so many kills with them today, because they have gone from, I believe, 105 or 120 to 150 damage multiplier, which now means that if you have an AWM, like we just saw getting picked up there, you can one-shot a person with a shot to the chest. On a level 2S.
An AWP from CS.
Exactly, pretty much the same thing, right? Where it has never been that powerful before.
Okay.
So that's a huge buff to that weapon right there.
Interesting. So now we do see that Ukrainian split half and half, which is similar to what we saw on the last map. If we take a look to the north around Zabava, you see some looting going on. Dino Park there, Real KPE and Skiddo.
That was the first thing I noticed.
Away.
First game I ever played at McKendy. I just jumped into the Dino Park because the name sounded fun. And when I came, I was like, oh my God, there's actually dinosaurs
There's
there.
actual dinos. All we need is a real working coaster.
Yep. And what you can do is you can take a snowmobile and you can drive it up on the tracks and you can drive around on it and act like you're a roller coaster. That's the closest thing I think you'll ever get to actually being on a roller coaster in Dino Park, unfortunately.
So you can actually push it onto the track?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while, and I mean, if you're playing in public games, odds are you'll get shot at or killed before you get to do it, because a lot of people land here. But I've tried. I think I made it to the water there, and then I fell down. It was fun, though.
Our drone cameraman taking us on a little tour there.
Castle under artillery fire. What do you say? Catapult fire? Like a mortar fire, maybe?
What?
Yeah.
Whatever has destroyed the castle.
No, they're under heavy fire from the red zone right now. I was just trying to reference the red zone as more of a
I would say airstrikes, right?
Airstrikes and castles? Yeah, I guess that works.
Well, the red zone is an airstrike, right?
Well, yeah, I know. I was just trying to make it more medieval.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, catapult, trebuchet.
Mortars.
Mortar is not... A mortar is...
Yeah, like the old ones. The old, like, small cannons, round ones, that shoot them right up in the air.
But that's not medieval days.
Howitzers. Like 1700.
They had mortars back then?
Yeah, 1700.
Maybe you know your military history better than me. When I did my history degree, I focused on...
you're a history degree guy.
Yeah.
You didn't know they had mortars back then. What is
my history degree centered mainly around West Africa, a bit of East Asia.
Did they not have mortars in West Africa in the 1700s?
They potentially did. I'm not entirely sure, though. I didn't study too much of the warfare there.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Either way, we can see that the castle has been broken down by some sort of fire. And only time will tell in this matchup which team is broken down by fire first. We do see that Ukraine are missing a player.
It seems like it. Seems like maybe this will be the drop to tip the water in the favor of the Greece and Cyprus side. Again, that's the funny thing, right? Because we didn't see a lot of it last game because it was more of a team effort all the way around. Sure, the red zone became a big factor there in the end of things, but still, in that Sanok game, it just showcased exactly how much of a difference that one little man that Wood could make. I mean, and it became, sure, similar things could have happened had he not landed those shots, but he became the guy that ran up front, took the first couple of kills, and just made that gap that they needed.
A big shout out to There Is No Spoon, by the way. Must be a Matrix reference. Good old Matrix. I saw Mi Scalito there in the castle firing off towards the cement factory. I'm not entirely sure why that was.
Just testing out the weapon, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. That could be a thing. Churches are in here too. Once again.
Oh, Green Jesus. Hulk Jesus is back.
Hulk Jesus.
Yes,
he is there, indeed.
Main man. I'll head out through the stained glass windows to get a nice little overview of this village area. Beautiful town centre.
Yeah.
Spent many holidays there. Camping.
What was like the main attraction of this area?
What's
like the tourist attraction? Where did you go to take your Instagram pictures?
The cathedral with Hulk
okay, that was
Jesus.
it. Hulk Jesus. Like you do selfies with Hulk Jesus.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I like to go here more. It's more of my thing. Like little water thing in the middle there, and just more.
Water thing, also known as a fountain.
No, it's not a fountain. It's just a water thing.
Okay, water thing. Fair enough.
They have those on Vikendi. You don't get them anywhere else. That's what's so unique about the city.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Vikendi's infrastructure, its economy, I wonder what it's built on. Maybe it was the selling of water things to other countries.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually the source of main income here. Rockets and water things. That's how you do it. You see it right there on your screen, by the way. Nice water thing they have down there by Pippa Pew.
Careful looting stage in this fourth map of the second semi-final.
And it's probably a combination of two things, because Ukraine has... had Ukraine been allowed to play this way, they probably would from the very start of things, but Greece constantly pushed them, and that forced them into fights maybe a little earlier than they wanted to in the first two maps. But now that they won one... Oh, Orange Snow. Good morning. Let's get that kill early on. But now that they won a game, Greece might be saying, you know what, let's not take it down a notch and not go over aggressive on this one, because maybe we did last game.
Orange Snow is a player that you've pointed out as someone to keep an eye on. He's got a big first frag for Ukraine. And Sadovsky firing a ton of bullets into the car. It seems like some poor movement choices there. Maybe the Greek players just weren't aware that
they were scouting forward and they got picked off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it, right?
From both sides, a crossfire.
Yeah. They were waiting for them. I mean, they were playing smart and not revealing their position until they were really close.
Yeah.
So that was extremely well played by the Ukrainians here. Also, they might have a little bit of an advantage. I don't know how much snow you have either in Greece or Cyprus, but Ukraine is clearly... I mean, I was recently in Ukraine.
Oh,
this
man.
is more the terrain.
When it snows in Ukraine, it snows for the world.
It snows a lot.
Yeah, I slipped in it once outside the studio I was working in. That was embarrassing on a pedestrian-filled street. And then I said something in English and some guy looked at me, shrugged and walked off.
No help coming for that guy, that's for sure.
No help at all.
Oh well, hopefully if you slip here, these guys will come help you a little more.
Yeah, Piftekis. Looked like he needed a bit of help there. Some fire raining into the little shed that he was in. And now we see the first circle.
This circle is going to be interesting because it not go over, it could still go over to the eastern side. That would be horrible for everyone. But should this circle go further west from now on, there's a chance that the Ukrainian team can push the southern part of the Greece team towards the water. Because in the bottom part here, the water isn't frozen. So if you can force them out not necessarily in the open, but the more you can pin them, like their backs against the wall, kind of.
It puts them in a very vulnerable spot.
Exactly. You got to utilize the terrain. I mean, because you clearly failed doing so on Sanok, right? So you got to, if that's the chance you had before, you got to utilize it.
It looks like the Greek team are preparing for an engagement here. They sniffed out some of the relative positions of Team Ukraine.
And we talked about this map in the break as well. You asked if it was, how it works in competitive. Yeah. And I said it is only pretty much Miramar and Erangel you see in competitive play. One of the reasons being that there are so many compounds on Vikendi.
Okay.
And that's the thing, right? Everyone gets their own little house to sit around in, and if the circle just keeps going in your favor, you can win off of it. But when we saw the Denmark-Sweden game, the Danish team actually opted to not use the compounds, to sit in the open. It gives them more room to roam around. And once that circle shifted out of the compound that the Swedish team were in, they had to completely pinned from all sides and they couldn't go anywhere. So sure, it's good to have these compounds and walls around you for cover, but it also makes it that much harder to leave once you're forced out.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. It's already a slower approach. We're almost 11 minutes in and we've only seen interaction between the two forces on a few occasions. The biggest one so far being the car that was led astray into a crossfire.
Yeah.
In Fisial going down there, but his brother-in-arms Pullman picking him up.
No, he's just rolling away the vehicle. I actually like that.
Okay, is that to avoid a grenade blowing them up?
Yeah, or just shooting at it. I mean, if you shoot enough bullets, it's going to blow up too. And vehicle explosions don't knock you. They instantly kill you.
Insta-kill.
So there would have been no rest coming in for either of them had they shot a few more bullets down towards the already smoking vehicle. So really smart play.
scoring a kill there on Sadovsky.
And Dobra as well, in there shooting. She clearly wants to get more active in this game.
Some of these angles are so discreet. It's hard to catch Dobrov when he's shoulder peeking around a tight little angle like that, shrouded by shrubbery. And now we see the rotation from Team Ukraine, the convoy coming in. Do you think potentially Alrain is looking for a full rotate round the back?
Yeah, they could do. I mean, that would make perfect sense. They would pin them in the top of the circle, and they would have them pinned between the blue circle and the water, and kind of push them in the corner there, right? That could make sense if that's what they're trying to do. Dobroshi goes down, and immediately the help comes in. But look at the rotation. They have a chance to go all the way down to Volnova if they want to, and they can park the vehicle. Oh, it seems like they are turning left down on the road.
Stopping halfway, right?
They're stopping halfway through. I mean... And it makes sense because they've tried these flanks twice and neither of them really worked out the way they wanted it to. But we saw them go aggressive last game when they pushed on the compound. Maybe this is the confidence they've sort of been building up over the past two games, and now they're kind of trying to execute on it.
Indeed. The way this break-off pack of Ukrainians is moving looks to be to substantiate their overall position. And I don't know if they're going to end up being joint with the other force. I think that they're looking for sort of like a half flank here. So they're still in close proximity to the rest of their team in the Abbey.
Yeah.
But whilst getting an angle that is going to split the Greek and Cypriots.
And speaking of Abby, this was actually the exact place that the Swedish team got pinned down. So it's really nice to see that the Ukrainians have a little more room. Like they have the southern unit as well. The only question is going to be how are they planning on using it? Circle did go up north, so it's obviously kind of splitting diagonally half-half as far as land mass for both teams. But how? I mean, there's a big force. It's pretty much half the team that are down there with tons of vehicles. Where are they going to go? Because as you can see with the Ukrainian or the Greek teams, they're pretty centered around compounds. So it's hard to push it, really.
The team's getting very close in proximity now, Toby. I think soon enough there are going to be some fireworks. I'm not sure if the kill feed will light up like we saw on Sandhawk, but it looks like the positions are being made on both sides to start attacking and defending.
The calm before
and the convoy coming in over the hill.
They will most likely be heard. The question is going to be also, how do you react on it as the Greece and Cyprus team? But it seems like they're just... no, he's turning back, actually. He's not... I was going to say he's going up towards the opponents, but not happening right now. The snowmobile, snow ski, scooter, bike.
Snow bike?
Snow bike, that's what it's called.
That's an exotic form of transport.
Exclusive to this map only, obviously. With the only one being snowy. So.
Couldn't use that on Miramar.
You could try, it wouldn't get very far.
Sand bike? I'm not sure.
Isn't that just a bike?
There we go.
Nonetheless.
Orange Snow again with the initial engagement. Mobsy tries to refrag, but he misses the shots needed to knock him down. And now he actually finds a grenade landing at his feet. Sergey putting him on his back, and he's out with a second grenade from Bubbly Wee.
The second nade comes in. Bubbly Wee secures himself that one, and now they're continuously keeping those player numbers in their advantage. But we know Greece, they don't need the numbers, they just need the right moment to push on forward, and they can make life a living hell for you in any given situation. So let's just wait and see, when does these Greek and Cypriot players decide to make that push on forward? Because right now they're kind of playing it passive. A little surprising as compared to what we've seen so far.
Yeah, we've seen them before benefit a lot from taking affirmative action, impressing their will over the map and geography. At this moment, it does seem like they're being a bit more reserved.
And it makes sense. I mean, they aren't really in a position where they can get a lot of info from the whole hillside being the middle point here, right? So they want to aggress into something they don't know where they are.
The Ukrainian team, though, if we look at Fino and Texel, are corralling them. They're pushing them back.
Oh, wow. This circle is going to be fun. South is going to be really, really open. And once again, if these... Like, you can see how they've all now grouped up. So the entire southern flank didn't really amount to much. They just gathered with the pile, or the bunch. And now they cannot let themselves get pinned inside of the Abbey area. That would be a big mistake by the Ukrainian.
Pank drops Sora. Yours Death drops Fasty 4, Fastif, I'm not sure.
Cute kid has many names.
Yes.
Schizophrenic.
Nefo there with another drop.
See, they're just playing it safe. They're trying to get some more info. They're trying to see if they can tap down towards them, and they are. And actually, I like the whole push up of the Freezy, up top there. They're not allowing for them to push anywhere further east. They want to see if they can pin them down early on here. Because should that next circle go out and away, that's going to be such a big benefit to the Greek team. Look at how they're trying to flank around the south now.
Oh, yes. We see a break-off Legion. I do think some shots being fired off by the Persos duo on the hill looking to the south. So that Ukrainian sort of task force has been spotted out.
Did they see these guys, though?
I do think they did, because I saw some traces coming from the hill towards them.
Okay.
Not entirely sure, but it seemed that way to me. And now we're seeing a very close proximity between the bottom section of the Greek Cypriot squad, and the Ukrainian task force. Shiva is down off the server. They have been. They were spotted, and Greece and Cyprus.
They're committing so many more players down here too.
Yeah, capitalizing on the situation. Very good defensive play, adapting to the knowledge that they had at hand.
Yeah, again, it's exactly as you say. Oh, the flank is on north as well, though.
They're fending off these task forces, aren't they?
And that's the thing. You cannot allow for them to pin you inside. You got to do something to make room for yourself. And they're trying to split out.
Is it enough pressure, though? We're just about to see them come into contact. Freezy here, maybe having He's jumping. He's trying to spot. He did not see it. Now he sees them. He's going to try and line up some shots. Maybe they didn't see him, and he can get around.
He needs the info.
He needs the info. Crouching, ghillie suit on.
He's giving all the info.
Fino down. This could be a great opportunity for him to jump up and try to capitalize and get a kill or potentially some other knocks.
He doesn't want to go aggressive. He just wants to get the info across.
He
has to stay alive.
If he stays there and they go over his head at some point,
he will know. I mean, also he will know exactly where they are. If they push, if they don't push, he has all the info in the world. They're running back. They're making
Orange
a lot
Snow
of sound here.
He's got an inkling though. He has an idea that someone's underneath that ridge.
Yeah, and they're running back. It was a rally effort though. Great trying to go up and get the flank, but now they're spotted. And also, I mean, one thing is you got to credit a good fight and a good engage, but disengages can be equally tough to make, and they called it to run back here. Smart play by the Ukrainians.
Yumba looks to be on a higher geography now that could potentially oversee that task force that went out to the north. That was a good push by the Ukrainians, and they haven't really lost too much because of it. They've actually got some information, then backed off to substantiate the rest of their team.
Question is going to be whether that... almost popping up ahead there. Question is going to be whether them falling back make the difference. Because now the new circle pops, and where do we go?
It's just centered, pretty much centered, a bit south.
What do you do as Greece and Cyprus now? Because now you have the chance, right? If you can pin them down by the broken wall up the hill here, you have a not free win, but a pretty good chance at hand. How do you play with the top players now? Do you move them down, or what do you do?
Al Rain there is looking for a wide angle. Not sure if he has been spotted yet, but he at least is he's going for a very wide flank.
Yeah.
Right on the edge of the circle. He's hoping no one's going to be looking. Oh, no, spotted by Sora. Sora's doing a great job here of managing information and vision.
Yeah, it's just one of those UAVs you put on your team. They just like put the field of view to max, and they just see everything going on.
With his VR goggles on.
Exactly, just looking around. Where are they? We need all the info we can get. And now the push is coming forward. I think the Ukrainians are starting to realize that this could go very grim, very fast if they don't sort of get some sort of footing. We talked about how the Greek and Cyprus teams have been the ones to dictate the battlefield so far.
And earlier on, it was the Ukrainian team that were corralling the Greek and Cypriot team, but now it's reversed.
Yeah.
Just as you've pointed out, and it's the Greek and Cypriot team that seem to be pushing back the Ukrainians.
And you can see the wall right here. Right now, it's granting them all the cover they need, but as they make that run on out, on the other side of that rock formation you have out there, it's a huge open field. And not only that, but you have to jump and run downhill. It's going to be so hard for them to leave, and they don't have vehicles up here either. So right now, they need a hell of a lot of knocks, and then someone to say, guys, we're going forward and we're going right now. This is also a crazy good position to have. I mean, the fact that you have Lustra in there...
nooks and crannies in the rock formations.
The audio cues he can give, the fact that he can say, no one's around me, in the spot like that when he's so far west, is extremely crucial.
We're now 27 for 27 with Botsman taking out Al Rain. So it's anyone's game.
Next circle could be the difference maker here. Should it go all the way back west towards Abbey, it would go for sure in the favor of the Ukrainian team. But should it go anywhere but that, it's going to be so difficult.
The portable walls are coming out for Ukraine so that they can try to move around.
Yeah.
And get some better geographical advantage or placement. Oh, an explosion there. A car, but Happy Alps does avoid it. He's in a nook and cranny of his own.
Yeah. And this is pretty much the center of the circle, right? Look at how open it is. Sure, you have a few trees and a couple of rocks there, but there's not a whole lot more to play around. And if they're using all their smokes now already, think 2 circles ahead, there's going to be nothing left for cover. But holy cow, yours that. And Sora, great headshots coming in, and they need these knocks, because every single time you get a knock on the headshot, that's a helmet gone, and Nefo is playing aggressive now on that.
Plantago falls, giving Greece and Cyprus their first lead of the match. I mean, there was a Ukrainian player missing at the start. I'm not entirely sure if he was down. Please, Toby, go ahead.
Look at this Nefo pushing all the way up and forward, all by himself. Or might get a bit too greedy here. There's a smoke, fortunately.
Why no trigger discipline there? Should he have fired through that smoke?
Yeah, probably wait a little while longer. Had he had a nade, that would have been absolutely insane. But now the help is coming in on the side. They can take down immediately. Chinche is one of them. Hero captain down and out.
Wow, a Molotov does get a re-knock onto Happy apples, but it's the Ukrainian side that really benefited from the engagement around the rock formation. Whoa, it really is swinging in their favor. That's so many knocks in a row.
Wow.
Freezy trying to make a play, but this is definitely some great work by the Ukrainian side.
They are not allowing for them to push around the side. Despite the fact that Greece had the numbers, they're saying, no, boys, you guys can turn around and go back to where you came from because we ain't giving up this position. And Circle has popped now as well. It's kind of allowing the people to stay inside, but look at this flank. Look at the push coming in from the Ukrainian. They're going far down south, and they need this position to be held.
At this point, I think utility could be very useful. And yeah, we see a smoke grenade coming out. Using that for some cover, for some repositioning. A lot of smoke, yeah. I feel like I queued it. All the utilities coming out right now.
Well, they need to, right? That's the thing. They need to hold them off. If they cannot allow for the Greek team to take control of the south down here, they cannot allow for them to get control of that because that's going to be all of them pinned up behind that next sort of wall of,
guess who's
rocks.
Is playing a dangerous game here. So many eyes on him.
Only bandages remaining too.
But could he be that bait and switcher?
Imagine if he had just one nade. That could be like 7 kills.
Dude! You're not liking what you see if you pop over that hill and see about 10 Ukrainians staring straight at you. And yeah, he faces the consequences. He's down and out.
I like how they've used their re-rub players, though. They are playing on a team together to be the ones to scout ahead and get the info. They had Lustra up there as well. Him and Freezy tried to get some info. And they're actually still sitting up north trying to be the flankers. But Lustra has gone down and Freezy's under a lot of fire, too.
Spoon here is in the most forward position for the Greek Cypriot team. I'm not entirely sure how he can be useful. I think, again, it could be a situation of bait and switch, or at least trying to get one knock or a frag and get traded out. At this point, though, Greece and Cyprus need more than trades. They need to get back an advantage. The Ukrainian side... Oh! The Ukrainian side still ahead, but there are a couple knocks coming in for Greece and Cyprus, and they seem to be getting some good damage in as well. Potential knock here.
New circle is going to pop as we speak as well. Where is it going? Who is it going to favor? Ooh, I pretty much only see red inside this one. And for Ukraine, the last remaining players up by Abby need to jump down. And the players that are down in the front of the battlefield, they need to make some room because they're all on the edge now.
A little breather for Team Greece and Cyprus as they revive their teammates on that rock formation.
And now the question becomes, because they're all pinned down there, right? How much utility did they use to maintain that spot? How much do they have to make that move across now? Because if you're smart, if you're Greece, you just hold your horses now. You just wait, because inevitably, these players from Ukraine, they will have to make that run on forward. And you can see it right down here. Look at the... I mean, it might only be 50, 60 meters they have to push, but they have to push it. We're in phase 7. You die if you're in the blue at this point. They just need to wait, because this push from the rock formation that the Ukrainians have over to the Greek and Cyprus one could be the absolute dead man's land for the Ukrainians in just a moment.
Well, the no man's land right now is that gap between the rock formations, right? And no one is daring to push there. And based on the circle, it should be the Ukrainians that have to move first.
Yeah, they will have to move out, and more so. I mean, if you're Greece, keep tapping away, but do not allow them to push.
Indeed, the pressure is ramping up, and I'm sure the Ukrainians can feel it. Yet we can see them moving closer towards the circle and where it's going to pop. They have 1 minute to make an advantageous push.
Yeah, they need to do something here. They cannot stay behind. You can see they're actually making the run out now, and all of a sudden, the numbers are starting to tie up.
Indeed. Pullman, Nazgul, but Freezy does go down, one of the key players on the Greek and Cypriot team.
This is a proper World War I skirmish.
Indeed.
Each in their side, each in their sort of dips, and then nobody really daring to cross over.
They each have like a raised trench almost.
It's just trench warfare. Oh, holy cow. That was actually Nazgul.
Yeah, Botsman, Nazgul, and Pullman coming in as well. That's 2, 3.
Yeah.
The kill feed lighting up, and Ari returns onto Mr. Korokas.
They're starting to run out of space to stand on. We're in phase 7. These circles are going to take you down so quickly. You cannot play around in them. And there are only so many rocks and trees for cover. Look at this. If you're hidden from one angle, you're most likely visible to another.
Yeah.
And the way that the Greek players have split out to take control is very impressive to see.
So even though they're at a disadvantage right now, do you think that they're definitely in this because of the circle?
They need to do something. They need to do something. Now the circle completely excludes that whole rock formation. They need knocks. Just like that. They need an insane amount of knocks to be able to push out into the open now. Because I think they've used all their utility at this point. Look at how much pinned they are on the corner. They need one guy to be the freak, like the the freeze of their team to make them run on
Molotov's
out.
coming out to maybe contain
even
the Ukrainian
more so.
side.
And it's not like Counter-Strike where a smoke will blow it off. Nope, it's not going to happen. They'll just keep burning through it. So look at how, I mean, what do they have? 50 square meters to play on, and they're 19 alive?
This is all-out war. This is gun for gun, and we see 4 knocks coming up for the Greek side. That's what they need to keep the pressure on. This could be the winning play if they keep up this sort of momentum.
Full-on swarming going on for Greece and Cyprus right now. They're taking full control of this circle, and these fights are only going one way. We're only seeing Greeks taking down Ukrainians right now, not going the other way whatsoever.
And more. Byronar, True Sweet does return, but then Byronar, Perfect Kiss, Pullman, Gecko. Oh yeah, the kill feed is going absolutely mental right now. 2 full deaths, 3, 4. Oh my God. Everyone's collapsing in on each other. The circle is tiny. The Ukrainians are under so much duress, and now we can see it's 15-4, 3, 2. Only 1 remains. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a panning.
Pan. Dum, 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 dum. Oh, he goes in the blue!
Victory has been achieved. Team Ukraine are eliminated from the GLL Nations Royale. And it's going to be Team Greece and Cyprus that move forward into the grand final tomorrow to play Team Turkey. That was a very exciting end to that 4th map.
Yeah, you gotta be happy if you're Sinjay as well, right? Because they did the initial push over and say, well, we have them down here, let's go fight them. Did not work out at all. They came in numbers. They probably had twice the amount of people pushing down there as the Ukrainians had defending, but the Ukrainians just put up a wall of fire and said, you guys ain't pushing through here. They took down Sinjay, they forced the remaining players to fall back, and then, they didn't really utilize the chance they had to push further forward from there.
Yeah, in that situation where that final circle we saw dropped, what could the Ukrainians have done to mitigate the disadvantage they got from it?
I think they needed to push when they had the chance to earlier. I mean, it didn't come down to it. At this point, I think it was already lost. I mean, the Greek teams had pretty much, they sat on 90% of the circle, pinned them down to just about 10. You cannot do anything from there, especially when you're starting to fall down in numbers as well. It's too hard. When they had that fight where they started taking off a lot of players, they sent more players down, but as they sent them down, they all stopped there. They just continued using that momentum, just continuously knocking people, pushing on forward on over. They could have had a deal 50-50 split of the circle, would have helped them out so much more.
So potentially the RNG switched around in this case compared to the last map where the red zone on Miramar really messed up the plays that Team Greece and Cyprus were trying to make. In this situation, it was the final circle that just gave a slight advantage in terms of those 2 rock formations, the no man's land, to Greece and Cyprus, and the Ukrainians were at a loss for things they could do to improve their situation.
Exactly. I mean, you can talk about RNG, you can also talk about playing the odds. They sat on, let's say realistically, 80% of the circle in the Greek team. They had the entire northern side as part of their side, and they had they were already on the sort of Ukrainian territory. So if you just do percentages in the whole circle where there's a chance it's going to go, they have the better odds at it.
Thank you very much, Toby. Now let's have a quick chat with Shinjay. Sir, congratulations. Woo! You've made it to the grand final.
Hello, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, first things first. We want to talk about the second map.
We got to jump it back.
Sanhok. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You went down early. Tell us, was that an advantage or disadvantage to you? Because it felt like your communication still stayed strong. But of course, in the first map, you were very useful on the server the entire map. So what happened after you died very early on? And how did it affect you and the team?
Well, I did not realize that he was on that compound. I had no steps, no movement. I did not have my gun on auto. So
we noticed.
It happens. So it actually, I could say I can help more when I'm dead. I can see the view of the players, and I can just give some more info. I can see I got more vision when I'm dead, and I can think more. So I think it did not really matter because there were 31 guys alive, so it does not really matter, I think.
Yeah, so in that sense, it kind of benefited you because it gave you that better overall vision.
No, I don't think we won the game because of that. It's mostly because of the of the guys. They just perform really well.
You sound like such a stereotypical esports captain. It was like, my team, you know, the guys, they pulled through. Great words.
I'm just being honest, nothing.
Oh, that's amazing. I gotta ask you, Sanjay. When speaking of still of Stanok, when they had that push on down, because you guys got pinned by Crory and you had the river on your side, you were very much in the corner, but then Freezy made the rundown, knocked 3 players, and you just push over to Cave. Was it you who called that, or was it him saying, guys, come with me, I'm running down on the south side?
They all of the players got competitive experience. They all know how to play. They all know how to act. So they just do what they want from time to time. So I guess he just did it himself. It was not us saying something.
Okay. Which, I mean, it was an amazing play. We were sitting here like, oh my God, we thought this game was lost, and they actually made it worse. So
it was an insane comeback.
Yeah.
That comeback was insane. Can you now go back to the one map that you lost? What went wrong?
I don't know. Like, everything actually went wrong because we called out that we had some guys going on the top of the hill, but we could not just react fast. And they had the advantage because they actually did what we were about to do. Like, they caught us out in the open field where we were trying to rotate and get that spot. So it was like really hard to get that fight while they had high ground and they could only make headshot picks.
All right, and then finally going into Vikendi, what was the strategy going in, and did it play out how you hoped and expected?
Sorry?
And so finally then going into Vikendi, what was the strategy going in, and did it play out how you hoped and expected?
I could not say that anyone has experience on Vikendi, to be honest, because it's a new map, it's not competitive, we're not playing too much Vikendi, but we just do what we do in other games. It was a really hard game, I mean, you saw that, same as most of the games. And I don't know, I think that we just had the patience to stay alive till the last circles. We had like 20 guys alive, each of the teams, in the last circles, and we just we got benefited in the end from the circle, and we just played it properly.
Toby, anything you'd like to add?
Just one thing, because we saw more times, like really often you have one guy who's a little isolated from the team. His role is not, it seems like his role is not to shoot. He just sits close to the enemy to give like maybe a sound cue or tell where they are. Is that something you guys strategize around? Or was it just maybe coincidence that they were maybe in the rocks there and stuff like that?
From time to time it happens to call that out and try to mess up with the enemy team. But there are some guys that are really aggressive. I cannot say something.
All right. And final question then, Shinjay. Tomorrow, grand final against Team Turkey. What are your thoughts and feelings going into it?
I just want to say that it's only a game. No one has to be mad for any reason.
Okay.
That's fair. That makes sense. There's a Greece Turkey.
It's not history playing. It's young guys playing games. That's all.
That's amazing.
There we go.
I love to hear it.
So you're a magician on the server and also a magician with words. A very humble general. And we're looking forward to seeing you come back tomorrow to square off against Team Turkey in that grand final.
Yeah.
For all of you at home, that will be happening at 4 p.m. CET, 1600, our grand final. But today, or should I say tonight, we have even more action with the grand final of the Americas, and that will be at midnight. But before we go away until that point, let's take a look at the bracket, see how everything played out and what we can expect tomorrow.
This looks amazing, and I think we have to correct you there. It's going to be 3 p.m.
3.
Not 4. 3 p.m.
No, the graphic's wrong. It's 4.
Okay, it is 4. It's been moved. Okay, so it is 4. Don't look at the graphic. Listen to us. It is 4 p.m.
Yes.
CET, Turkey against Greece, and it's going to be a hell of a good one. But as you said, looking at the bracket here, you can just see the level of play that these teams have gone through to get here. I mean, it's clear to me to say that we have the 2 best teams fighting each other.
Definitely. It's been a pleasure so far to watch the semi-finals, and I can't wait for that grand final tomorrow. Toby, the European side of things for today is finished. Would you like to say anything else before we shoot off?
I've been impressed, and I'm looking forward to see what the Americans have in store for us.
Indeed. Thank you, everybody at home, for watching. Remember, we come back for the Americas at midnight tonight. The European grand final is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Not 3 p.m. like I said on the graphic. All right, for now, let's say goodbye, and we will see you later tonight.
Zoni, anna niille.
Come on nyt, come on nyt. Come on, no niin! Sieltä se tuli. Joo.
Mä teen häiriö.
Nyt tarvii souttua ampumista.
Oğlum hep beraber adama koşsanıza. Hep beraber adama koşsanıza.
Haydi. Bravo, Kanas. Κάτω κι άλλοι.
Ένας τι κάνει.
Τι κάνει.
Μα μπρο, τι κάνει.
Μη πάρε μαλάκα.
Πάμε λίγο.
Найс, меня можешь на разрез.
Вантага, тебе как?
Поднять меня.
Кейф, отдайте кейф, отступите с кейва.
Отходим от кейфа.
Όχι μάλλον, το πορτογαλί είναι. Πάτε, πουτάνε.
Μπράβο ρε παιχταρά. Μπράβο ρε παιχταρά. Опа,
Дядя, он только что не отображался, потому что на голубом.
Там просто на небе.
Да.
Найс! Нахуй, блядь, пошли! Нахуй, блядь, пошли! Все видел, где?
Добра, дивка, като.
Надо убить типа, блядь. Он очень спейс.
Короче, оставайтесь, не уходите.
Нет, там надо закружить сейчас. Парни, второй склад, вы можете к своим хелпануть под улитку под эту? Ακούστε με, το team μου, πού στο πορτογαλί, πολλά νόξ, το team που είναι μαζί μας. Τσιν, πού σαρε.
Το ρες λόλα.
Хорош? Хорошо. Парни, стараемся ногти давать. Нас больше, просто количеством душим их.
Таблет перед тобой за камнем. Μπαίνω στο βράχο, bro.
Οκ. Μπράβο! Και δεν πουσάρουμε, κρατάμε, απλά κρατάμε. Παν.
Λόλα.